Chapter 1603. In the ocean of nothingness, the waves were 10,000 feet high. Countless experts followed Yen Ao to set up the eternal formation, sealing off the sky and the ocean. The distance was 10,000 miles away, outside of Swan Potion's domain. Inside the eternal formation, Yi Qinghan and Xian Zhe worked together, unleashing the power of Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang merged into one, and their divine sense controlled the yin-yang profound record to enforce the law. Divine light constantly struck out, suppressing Swan Padian. Talisman soldiers attacked the black copper coin. Boom, 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 boom. Both sides set off waves of calamity within the domain. Swished at the yin-yang profound record struck out waves of divine light towards the black copper coin and Swan Padian. Both of them were circulating yin and yang. It was all thanks to Yi Qinghan's power and Xian Zhe's power that they managed to suppress Swan Padian for a short period of time. However, Swan Potion's defense was at its peak, and it was difficult to injure him. Swan Potion's killing intense soared to the sky. Even after devouring two heavenly beasts, he still couldn't resist Yi Qinghan and Xian Zhe's joint attack. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Roar! Swan Padian let out an angry roar that sounded like a dragon's roar. The shadow of a divine dragon shot out from his body and absorbed the water of nothingness. It turned into a water dragon and swung its giant tail at Yi Qinghan. Boom, boom, boom. The long tail was like a blade, shattering the void. Roar! Yi Qinghan's figure moved, and he turned into a dragon. His true body against the shadow, and he instantly shattered Swan Potion's attack. Boom! The huge tail was like a rainbow, and it suppressed Swan Padian. Boom! The huge waves surged again, and the pressure forced Swan Padian to retreat. The ninth blade. Destroy. At the moment when Swan Potion's attack was defeated, Yi Qinghan suddenly returned to his true body. He held Swan Kuang and slashed in the air, splitting the ocean of nothingness into two. An ocean chasm appeared in front of everyone, and it split Swan Potion's domain, but it was blocked by the eternal formation. Boom! Swan Potion's 7 black copper coins blocked Swan Kuang's attack. One of them was like a rainbow, and his power suppressed the 9 heavenly beasts. The other one sealed the sky, and it could block all heavenly beasts. Although the two of them looked imposing and grand, their speed was extremely fast. The slightest bit of carelessness would cause them to perish on the spot. Yin-yang law. Suppress. While Yi Qinghan was crazily crushing Padian Qian, Xian Zhe, who had never attacked before, suddenly controlled the yin-yang profound record to press down on Padian Qian. Boom! The 7 stars heaven lock's momentum was instantly shattered by the combined efforts of the two of them, and the momentum blasted towards Swan Padian. Whoosh! A saber ray and the 10,000 rays of divine light from the yin-yang profound record crushed Swan Potion's defense with a thunderous force, hitting its tortoiseshell defense. The Swan Padian stepped on the waves and fell backward, crashing into the barrier of the eternal grand formation. Boom! The formation shook, but the soft light was extremely resilient. There were no signs of it shattering. The wild ghost people outside the formation were still howling, but they gradually regained control of the temperature and regained some of their senses. Their faces were savage and their eyes were red, and the blood at the corners of their mouths had turned black. The savage ghoul roared and rushed into the great formation. He frantically turned around and tried to calculate the heavens. "You damned food, how dare you injure me?" The savage ghoul roared. He still treated Swan Padian as food. He opened his fangs and bit towards Swan Padian. His 10 fingernails were black, and a poisonous substance rushed towards the tortoiseshell. It was actually able to attach itself to the tortoiseshell and corrode its divinity. However, the poisonous substance had met a tough opponent. Even though it attached itself to the tortoiseshell, it was unable to break through the tortoiseshell's defense. It was like a wolf biting a steel plate. Boom, 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 boom. The savage ghoul was extremely angry. He desperately waved his sharp claws and smashed the tortoiseshell. Swan Potion's blood was in turmoil, and his expression was extremely ugly. He swung his fist and sent the savage ghoul flying. Roar! The savage ghoul did not have the intelligence of a human, and only attacked instinctively. He was not afraid of death, and was purely an enraged beast. After being sent flying, he charged forward again. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the situation to control the Great Wasteland Monument from the sky. The Great Wasteland Monument grew bigger and taller, as if it could fill up the void ocean and suppress Swanpadian to the bottom of the void ocean. The Great Wasteland Monument might not be able to threaten Swanpadian, but at this moment, there was still the Yin-Yang Profound Record. It constantly shot out divine light in the sky, enveloping Swanpadian within. Swanpadian was not afraid of the Great Wasteland Monument, but he had to be afraid of the Yin-Yang Profound Record. This was because it represented the fate of the heavens, and was enough to suppress him. Shio! Swanpadian constantly dodged, avoiding the attacks of the Yin-Yang Profound Record. Xianzhe was extremely excited. He constantly formed hand seals to control the Yin-Yang Profound Record. His first attack had such an effect, and his confidence was greatly boosted. Open! Boom! Yi Qinghan swung his saber horizontally, cutting off Swanpadian's path of retreat. Boom! Boom! Swanpadian was not willing to continue fighting. After all, he had to defend against the experts outside, dodge Xianzhe's Yin-Yang enforcer, and suffer from the savage ghoul's attacks. Furthermore, with Yi Qinghan's strength, he had no chance of winning. Thus, he constantly attacked the array and prepared to escape. However, the eternal array was immortal as long as the heavens didn't destroy it. How could it be destroyed? Unless the Paramount God Army, fake realm lords, and so many realm lords were all killed. Swanpadian's frenzied attack array saw that it was unable to break through after attacking for a long time. Suddenly, it flashed and took the initiative to attack the Great Wasteland Monument. Boom! Swanpadian held the Great Wasteland Monument with both hands and was directly suppressed to the surface of the sea. However, the surface of the sea was also sealed. He stood proudly with both hands holding the Great Wasteland Monument and pressed it down on the barrier less than a meter below the sea. The barrier was distorted. Boom! At this moment, the savage ghoul soared into the sky and smashed heavily on the Great Wasteland Monument, wanting to shatter Swanpadian. Boom! 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 The Great Wasteland Monument continued to rumble, and the barrier was distorted even more, showing signs of shattering. Xianzhe didn't see it clearly and used the Yin-Yang Profound Record to suppress the Great Wasteland Monument with lightning speed. He was prepared to suppress Swanpadian below the Great Wasteland Monument in one fell swoop. Yi Qinghan didn't care. Perhaps it was because he valued the eternal array too much. In the blink of an eye, the Yin-Yang Profound Record suppressed the Great Wasteland's tablet, while Swanpadian took advantage of the momentum to crush the eternal array and crash into the depths of the sea. The Great Wasteland Monument and the Yin-Yang Profound Record caused the waves to soar into the sky. Two pillars of water shot into the sky. Whoosh! Swanpadian continued to fall while holding the Great Wasteland Monument and quickly rushed to the bottom of the sea. Seeing that he was about to be suppressed to the bottom of the sea and would never be able to come out again, he couldn't help but distort his body. His divine power erupted and he fled from the bottom of the Great Wasteland Monument. Once he left the suppression of the Great Wasteland Monument, his body cut through the waves like lightning and rushed away from the bottom of the sea. Yi Qinghan leaped up and slashed at the bottom of the sea with his saber, blocking Swanpadian's escape route. However, Swanpadian quickly changed directions and rushed out of the encirclement from another direction. Wasteland. One day I will make you regret it. Their power is not yours. This old man will fight you one-on-one and destroy you with a wave of my hand. A gloomy and unwilling roar rushed out from the bottom of the sea and resounded through the mountains and rivers. Everyone watched helplessly as Swanpadian escaped from the enchantment. If this kind of person wanted to escape, no one could stop him unless they used millions of troops in the 9 worlds to completely seal his escape route or lure him into the world pagoda. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and waved his hand to retrieve the Great Wasteland Monument and the Yin-Yang Profound Record. He looked in the direction that Swanpadian escaped and said in a serious tone, if he returns to the 9 provinces continent, he will probably choose to find a way to enter the outer realm. Chapter 1604. The only way out of the outer realm was in the boundary tower. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took away all the soldiers below the pseudo-realm lord level. Then, he went back to the Jojo continent with the wild ghost man and other supreme experts. However, Swanpodian did not appear. Yen Ao thought for a moment and speculated, Swanpodian is very cunning. He won't act unless he is 100% sure. If he goes to the boundary tower, he might not even be able to reach the 9th floor, let alone the outer realm. If I were him, I would go to the heaven-protecting Qilin and the heaven-splitting sword tiger to devour their origin. At that time, we won't be able to stop him even if we join hands. Yi Qinghan clenched his fingers and thought, it's too late for us to go back and find him now. Moreover, 2 heavenly beasts have died. The heaven-splitting sword tiger and the heaven-protecting Qilin might not believe us. We can only take one step at a time. If the enemy doesn't move, we won't move. If he doesn't move, we will lure the snake out of its hole. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Swanpodian was too suspicious. It was too difficult to lure the snake out of its hole. However, if he absorbed the origin of the 4 heavenly beasts, he would be invincible. He might even surpass the eternal realm. Even the entire 9 worlds combined might not be his opponent. Everyone, let's think of a way to lure Swanpodian out. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. The inner sect members, Huang Peng, Yen Ao, and the divine bird stayed in the main hall to discuss the strategy. Everyone was in high spirits except for the divine bird who was too lazy to talk. After discussing for a while, they still couldn't come up with a good idea. Do what he likes. The key is that we don't know what Swanpodian is most interested in. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Your life. The divine bird rolled its eyes and said, Comf. Yi Qinghan snorted and said with a frown, he wants a complete world, Xianzhe's world. However, we can't gamble with her life. If we fail, we will all die. Then use the record of Yin Yang to lure him out. The divine bird suddenly said. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. This was one of the most attractive ways to calculate the heavens. Let's find the Yin Yang saint body and let him control the Yin Yang record. This way, Master Yi and I can deal with Swanpodian without worry. If Swanpodian comes to steal the Yin Yang record, we can take the opportunity to suppress him. If he doesn't come and we find someone with the complete Yin Yang saint body, he will have no chance of winning, Xianzhe reminded. Perfect Yin Yang referred to a person who was born with the coexistence of Yin and Yang, harmonizing them to a perfect state. This kind of person was 1 in a billion. They were impervious to poison and fire. Even if they did not cultivate, their lifespan was extremely long. However, they did not seem to have any abnormalities. Even if they were placed in front of others, they might not be able to notice. This kind of person could cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. His comprehension of the Yin-Yang profound record even surpassed Xianzhe's. Holy body of Yin and Yang? Yi Qinghan asked with a frown. Xianzhe immediately nodded and said, the Yin-Yang saint body is a legend of my clan. Legend has it that this kind of person can become eternal when he cultivates the Yin-Yang saint body. However, we haven't found such an existence yet. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and asked, does Swanpodian know about this body type? He knows. He is the clan elder of the Yin-Yang Shen clan. He knows the meaning of our clan's existence and all of our secrets. However, he wants to break the will of heaven and leave the 9 worlds. Xianzhe stared at Yi Qinghan and said. Yi Qinghan stared at Xianzhe and asked curiously, what is the meaning of the Yin-Yang Shen clan's existence? Xianzhe's expression changed slightly. Only then did he realize that he had misspoken. He nervously grabbed his sleeves and did not answer Yi Qinghan's question. Yi Qinghan said firmly, I have to know about this. We can't be careless when dealing with Swanpodian. The meaning of our clan's existence is of no use to you. Our clan's ancestors taught us not to tell outsiders about our clan's matters. Otherwise, we will die a horrible death. Xianzhe explained helplessly. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched as he stared at Xianzhe. Although he did not know why the Yin-Yang Shen clan was in the 9 worlds, he understood that it definitely had something to do with the so-called sinners. I won't let you say it. Let me guess. Is it to detain the sinners? Yi Qinghan asked. Xianzhe was stunned and asked back, "How do you know?" "The realm pagoda told me," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. "I want to know, who is the sinners that the realm pagoda is referring to? It's definitely not us humans. There is no need for the people of a great world to detain us alone. They even set up a lower realm pagoda for heavenly beasts and the Yin-Yang Shen clan to guard us." Yi Qinghan continued asking. Xianzhe shook his head again and again. His expression was very ugly as he said in a sad voice, "Senior, don't ask me anymore. This matter is related to the survival of the Yin-Yang Shen clan. I can only explain it this way. If the Nine Worlds is a prison, then the people of the Yin-Yang Shen clan are the prison wardens and the four heavenly beasts are the prison wardens." Yan Ao and Yi Qinghan looked at each other. Only now did they understand that what they knew about the Nine Worlds was just the tip of the iceberg. There were still many places that hid big secrets. "My master is not the existence that you want to detain. Could it be that there are eternal existences in the Nine Worlds?" The divine bird raised his eyebrows and asked. Xianzhe shrunk his head. He really did not want to talk about it anymore. Since it's an eternal existence, we won't ask anymore. It might not be a good thing for such people to come out. They are not familiar with us and might lead to the destruction of the Nine Worlds. Yi Qinghan said calmly. "Phew." When Xianzhe heard this, he breathed out a turbid breath. He was really afraid that Yi Qinghan would insist on getting to the bottom of this matter. That might not be the case. Eternal existences can be suppressed. Don't you have any interest in seeing what an eternal existence is like? Maybe we can go and make a deal with an eternal existence. We can release him and then let him help us kill Swanpadian. At least we can get some benefits from him. The divine bird said fearlessly. Hey, eternal existence. Only the heinous ones will be suppressed. Divine bird, don't kill yourself. Xianzhe quickly reminded. A horse won't get fat without eating at night. A man won't get rich without a windfall. Let's go and do something. At worst, we can cheat the eternal existence. Won't it be fine if we don't let him go after getting benefits? The divine bird said excitedly. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and looked at Xianzhe. Only she and the boundary tower knew where the eternal existence was imprisoned. The boundary tower would definitely not say anything. Now they could only rely on Xianzhe. Don't go near. Back then, the envoys of the 12 races came from the eternal world. They all died because they got close to the eternal existence. Now, only my Yin-Yang Shen race is left. You will invite trouble. Xianzhe warned somewhat angrily. Yi Qinghan stared at Xianzhe and asked, Are the humans of the Nine Worlds aboriginals? What was the situation here when you entered the Nine Worlds? Xianzhe shook his head, indicating that he did not know. He did not even know whether the matter of the eternal existence being held captive was true or not. This was because the alien race was not the first group of people here. They had changed several civilizations. Chapter 1605. Xianzhe didn't know the specific information about the sinner. There were only some legends circulating in the clan, but it was strictly forbidden to tell outsiders. Otherwise, they would be punished by the heavens. After a long discussion, Yi Qinghan decided to split into two groups. One group would search for the eternal sinner's place of imprisonment, and the other group would search for the Yin-Yang saint body. Yi Qinghan would personally search for the being imprisoned. Except for a few forests in the Nine Worlds, there was really no place that could imprison an eternal being. Yi Qinghan left the Nine States continent. His first stop was the floating island. I don't think there are any clues there. You have to remember what Xianzhe said. The divine bird was very excited, as if it was about to see its ancestor. Seeing Yi Qinghan running in the wrong direction, it quickly reminded him. Xianzhe said that the 12 emissary clans came to guard the sinner. Except for the Yin-Yang Shen race, the other clans all died when they got close to the sinner. The Yin-Yang Shen race are not fools. They will definitely stay away from that land. I know. Let's go to the floating island and see if there are any clues. For example, there will be records of the clan elder's residence, Yi Qinghan said calmly. A few days later, Yi Qinghan passed through the forest and appeared on the floating island. The floating island is only so big. The clan elder must live in this palace. You go left and I go right. Yi Qinghan pointed at the palace and said, Okay, Kakik, eternal sovereign, if this divine bird rescues you, will you grant me a great opportunity? At the very least, let me become a supreme world overlord, just like that bitch Swanpodian. The divine bird grinned and rushed to the left side of the palace in a flash. Yi Qinghan shook his head and smiled bitterly. He went to the right. The palace was huge and dilapidated. Only a few rooms survived. The rooms were covered by some strange formations, but they were all shattered. Yi Qinghan went through the ruins one by one. He pulled apart the rubble and took out his heavy hammer to fling away the rocks. He was looking for some ancient books. Some of the books recorded different histories and civilizations. Even the characters were different. Even the fluctuations of the mystic arts were different. Yi Qinghan used the mysterious energy waves to sense the words on the paper. He understood the meaning of the words and was mesmerized by them. Swish, swish. Yi Qinghan quickly flipped through the ancient books. After flipping through more than 10 ancient books, he discovered that there were at least a few civilizations in the 9 realms. However, the previous civilizations had already been destroyed, leaving behind only a few written inheritances and some intelligent human bloodlines. They continued to be passed down and developed, from a mythological civilization to a cold weapon civilization. Finally, with the awakening of intelligence, they changed into a mechanical civilization. Finally, when the world was destroyed, some people mutated and developed into a mythological civilization. The more Yi Qinghan looked at it, the more he felt that the trajectory of history was very strange. He also understood that just because he had not seen it before, it did not mean that it did not exist. When an era disappeared, many words disappeared along with the passing of time. Legends became myths and became nothingness, stories made up by humans. Many of the legends are true. They are not myths. Yi Qinghan muttered as he flipped through the ancient books. That means that the legends of the Yin-Yang Xian race are also true. The Yin-Yang Saint Body and the 9 realms have imprisoned a supreme sinner. Yi Qinghan muttered as he continued to flip through the ancient books. Many of the ancient books had been destroyed by the war. They did not look damaged on the surface, but once touched, they would turn into fine powder and scatter with the wind. He went from one room to another. It was as if he was reading a story. Most of the books were historical records and not cultivation secret techniques. There were books in every room. The divine bird had already searched through the palace on the left. It turned back and saw that Yi Qinghan had only searched a few rooms. It could not help but shake its head and say anxiously, "How long will it take for you to search like this? It is an eternal existence. Aren't you anxious? Aren't you excited?" Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sent the divine bird out. He said coldly, "You can continue searching. I will read these ancient books." The divine bird was too lazy to pay attention to Yi Qinghan. It skipped through more than 10 rooms and continued its search. Boom! Yi Qinghan flipped through a complete room. However, the door was blocked by a large stone. He smashed the stone with his palm. The room was decorated very seriously. There was no extra decoration. Apart from a stone bed and a quilt, there was only a table by the window. There were 2 very simple books on the table. Yi Qinghan reached out and picked up the first book. On the first page was written, "Records of 1,000 years." Flipping to the first page, a row of small words appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. "My races Yin and Yang were appointed by the heavens to guard the sinners' continent. As time passed, I did not know what crimes the sinners had committed and why they could not communicate. For countless years, no one went to the sinners' prison. This old man has almost forgotten the location. The Eternal One caused the extinction of the 11 great emissaries' races. However, he left behind generations of inheritances. This old man did not wish for those fellow Taoists' races to be exterminated, so I left behind some survivors. Fortunately, the survivors did not obtain the inheritance. This old man allowed the sinner's bloodline to merge with the descendants of the 11 emissaries, gradually forming a small world. This year, the 7 stars returned to 1. This old man divined the Yin and Yang and deduced that the sinner's continent would bring calamity to the Yin and Yang Xian race. They would be exterminated by the sinners. However, this old man's abilities were limited. Although I wanted to divinate for billions of years, I was powerless to stop it. Future generations must remember, the yin and yang Xian race must not leave the floating island. Yi Qinghan's breathing quickened. He quickly flipped through the book, looking for traces of the so-called sinners. However, at this moment he was also alarmed. He secretly muttered to himself, "The continent will bring calamity. The yin and yang Xian race has already happened. If they are exterminated by the sinners, doesn't that mean the 9 worlds will be destroyed by the Eternal One? Or will the Eternal One help me eliminate this calamity?" Yi Qinghan could not understand what the author meant. He continued to flip through the book. However, there was no mention of where the sinners were imprisoned. It only mentioned why the sinners were imprisoned. Those who do not obey the discipline of the Eternal Master are sinners? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He felt that this sinner was too overbearing. He actually suppressed an eternal existence here for countless years just because of a single sentence. He had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations in the 9 worlds. Are we the descendants of sinners? Yi Qinghan put this ancient book into his Jianquan ring. He picked up another book and was shocked by the opening. My heart yearns for eternity. However, my race is too smart. We deduced the mysteries of heaven and offended some people. That's why we were sent to the land of sinners to imprison sinners. This old man does not know whether the real sinners are the Eternal One or our yin and yang Xian race. My ancestors strictly followed the will of heaven. However, this old man wants to release the Eternal One and leave this land of sinners. I have wandered back and forth on the reincarnation cliff several times. In the end, I have never stepped onto the other side. I do not want to be a sinner of the yin and yang Xian race. However, my obsession is too deep. Only by gathering the fruits of my Tao and transforming them into this book can I open this heavenly reference record. Swish. A divine light rushed towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. It was too fast. It was so fast that he did not even have time to react. A soft light enveloped his body. Chapter 1606. A soft light enveloped Yi Qinghan as a warm current surged within his body. His divine sense was strengthened infinitely as some secret techniques and comprehension principles appeared in his sea of consciousness. The profoundness of the heavenly reference record was like a torrential flood that spread out in all directions. The heavenly reference record is a book to reach the heavens. The great Tao is orderly, all living things are orderly, and even the heavens have their own order. By comprehending the heavens' order, everything is under one's control. The heavens' order is the cycle of karma. Where there is cause, there is effect. Where there is effect, there is cause. The heavenly reference Tao fruit had been hidden in the heavenly reference record for countless years, waiting for a fated person. This was the first time it had been opened. Yi Qinghan had activated the heavenly reference record and obtained this Tao fruit. His memories were expanding. Many memories that did not belong to him filled his divine sense and fell into every corner of the world. The wild martial world was becoming more and more perfect. Boom! A divine sense attacked the heavens. The divine radiance pierced through the heavens and formed a blazing sun at the peak of the vault of heaven. It was like a heavenly eye overlooking the world and seeing through every corner of the world. Boom! 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 The heavens shook. At this moment, every corner of the 9 continents, not even an ant could escape Yi Qinghan's divine sense. The heavenly eye represented his eyes. The order of all living things could not escape his eyes. The divine bird was startled by Yi Qinghan's movements. It retreated from the front and looked at Yi Qinghan holding the heavenly reference record. The book was still shooting out divine radiance. It could not help but feel envious and jealous. Damn! There is a secret technique in the book. It seems like I miscalculated. I will start from the beginning. Whoosh! The divine bird ran back to the left side and searched every room for a secret technique. However, it was all for naught. It searched every room on the left side but did not find anything useful. Bang! The divine bird kicked an ancient book away with its claw and cursed, "Damn, discriminating against this divine bird? My bloodline is noble and my intelligence is higher than Yan Ao's." Yet, I did not activate the Yin-Yang Xian race's inheritance. Preposterous. You guys have no foresight. At this moment, Yi Qinghan walked out of the palace. He became dignified. His gaze swept across the divine bird, causing its hair to stand on end, and it retreated. But what kind of divine medicine did you eat? The divine bird looked at Yi Qinghan covetously, then tiptoed over to Yi Qinghan. It stretched out its little claw and smiled wickedly. Reward this loyal divine bird with one. Yi Qinghan smiled. He actually had the demeanor of a transcendent being. The evil aura from earlier on was completely gone, making people want to get close to him. Yi Qinghan smiled and said, I didn't eat any divine medicine, but I did find the Tao fruit of a supreme existence of the Yin-Yang Xian race in a book. I successfully activated it and used it. Shit luck, why can't I get it? The divine bird grumbled. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked, What did you say? The divine bird shook its head and replied seriously, No, no, no. I said Master will be blessed for thousands of generations. You will unify the world. All the blessings of the world should be gathered on the great Master. Yi Qinghan snorted. He was in a good mood and did not want to bicker with it. He said, I know where the sinner's land is. Where is it? Kikik, the Yin-Yang Xian race looks down on me because they have no foresight. However, the eternal sovereign must be an intelligent person. If he can see my brilliance, he will definitely reward me with some melons and 2 dates. It will definitely be very useful. The divine bird imagined that the eternal sovereign would reward him with treasures and opportunities. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, It's on the other side of the reincarnation cliff. What is that place? The divine bird asked doubtfully. There is a cliff at the entrance to the reincarnation hell. It is called the reincarnation cliff. The opposite side is the reincarnation hell, which is the other side of the reincarnation cliff. Yi Qinghan was full of smiles and joy from the bottom of his heart. He said excitedly, Energy will only change and will not disappear. When all living things die, their energy will collapse and be absorbed into hell by the reincarnation esoteric meaning. Then, it will be disrupted and sent out of the reincarnation esoteric meaning by order to form new life forms. However, some energies have extraordinary willpower. Even if they die, their soul energy will not collapse. Reincarnation will find it difficult to disperse those energies. At most, it will cause them to lose a lot of memories. However, they will not change. This was the content of the heavenly towering record. Yi Qinghan was shocked by this sentence and was extremely excited. The divine bird was stunned for a moment before it said excitedly, You mean to say that even though Little Mistress is dead, she isn't truly dead? Her soul energy might still be intact, and she was dragged into the reincarnation hell by order? Yi Qinghan replied with certainty. Haha, this is good news. The divine bird laughed from the bottom of its heart. Yi Qinghan was even more excited than Yi Qinghan. However, if one wanted to enter hell's samsara, they couldn't just rely on their physical body. Only eternal sovereigns would have to eject their souls and follow the heavenly Tao's order into samsara. However, at his level, he had his own will when entering samsara. He wouldn't be affected by the order of samsara, and he could even force his way out of it. Let's return to divine martial sacred city. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and retrieved the divine bird. He quickly left floating island. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan's silhouette flickered, and his speed increased. Wherever he looked, his silhouette would appear. His current speed was even faster than swan potions. Boom, boom, whoosh, whoosh. Black holes appeared in the sky, which quickly healed after being torn apart. However, Yi Qinghan used the cracks to disappear without a trace. It took a few days to arrive, but it only took a day to return. He crossed several large states and entered the divine martial state. At this moment, the Jiuzhou continent was recruiting talents in a high-profile manner, searching for the yin-yang divine body. Everyone wanted to enter the insane sect and become a high-ranking member of the empire. Even an outer member of the insane sect could make a supreme god bow his head, let alone an inner disciple. Yi Qinghan didn't pay attention to the assessment outside the city. Instead, he flashed into the city. Yen Ao and the others found Yi Qinghan and assigned the assessment to the insane sect members before returning to the city. Inside the main hall, Yi Qinghan had his hands behind his back, waiting for everyone to appear. Yen Ao, Huang Peng, Lin Wuyan, Gu Qingyu, Jiang Jingtian, Tong Tong, Yen Yunbei, and Di Longtian were all his confidants. They were all brothers that he could entrust his life to. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice, "I'm going to leave my body and enter the reincarnation hell to look for my son. At the same time, I want to see that sinner, the Eternal One. You guys guard the inner hall. Yen Ao, lead the army and set up a formation to guard the outer hall. No one else is allowed to come near the main hall, including Jian Bugui." The hell of reincarnation was just a general name. It was ethereal, and no one had ever entered it. They even wondered if it really existed. At this moment, except for Yen Ao, who had died once, the others were very surprised, but they didn't doubt it. "You just go and search. Leave the defense to me." Yen Ao nodded and replied. He then walked out of the inner hall and mobilized the experts above the rank of centurion to guard the outer hall. Yen Yunbei's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. However, Yi Qinghan knew that he was in the inner hall. Since he didn't trigger any energy fluctuation, it was hard to find his exact location. With him here alone, if any sector overlord entered the inner hall, they wouldn't even know how they died. Swish. Lin Wutian, Gu Qingyu, and the others guarded the four directions. Tong Tong sat beside Yi Qinghan, ready to use his life to block the blade at any time. After all, as his cultivation increased, his indestructible characteristic would also become stronger. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the ground and formed seals with his palms. He released the star-twining vine and it coiled around the main hall. After that, he activated his astral projection and comprehended the reincarnation order with the divine bird before vanishing. Chapter 1607. Everything had its own order. When the soul energy had no master, it would be drawn into the reincarnation hell. Where was the reincarnation? The reincarnation was everywhere. But the energy would eventually return to one place, hell. Yi Qinghan carried the divine bird's soul energy and was drawn along by the reincarnation. He could even see the world and sense the 9 continents. But the soul wanted to reverse the order and break free from the reincarnation, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. It couldn't move at all. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He tried several times but couldn't break free from the reincarnation's restraints. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The speed became faster and faster. Yi Qinghan and the divine bird souls were pulled into the abyss as if they were falling rapidly. "Wow, you scared the divine bird to death. Where are you?" The divine bird cried out frantically. It was as if it had entered a world without light. The light was very weak and dusky. Its divine sense couldn't reach far. It was like a blind man. "Why you crying like a ghost? Weren't you the one who wanted to come in?" Yi Qinghan's soul had transformed into a physical body. It was extremely weak and couldn't withstand the attack of an expert. At this moment, he was exceptionally cautious and gazed into the distance. But he couldn't see anything more than 10 meters away. The surroundings were filled with grayish-black gravel. The energy was extremely chaotic, mixed with chaotic information. From time to time, the mournful cries of souls could be heard. Violent gales rose, flying sand and stones, blocking the divine sense. When the wind hit the divine sense, it actually caused the soul to feel a piercing pain. What a strange place. So this is the legendary hell. It really does exist. Yi Qinghan said to himself hoarsely. "Where is the reincarnation cliff?" the divine bird asked in a panic. "I don't know. It shouldn't be too far from here. All human races have legends about hell. The Bridge of Helplessness and the Yellow Spring should be arranged according to this place. Find the Bridge of Helplessness and cross the Yellow Spring. We should reach the reincarnation cliff. Let's continue forward." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and walked forward against the wind. His body was wrapped in a powerful aura of death to protect his soul. Swoosh. Yi Qinghan manifested a berserk saber and led the divine bird forward at high speed. Whoosh, whoosh. His silhouette sped through the gloomy world. After walking for about 10 miles, he actually didn't find any matter here. It was all lifeless energy and it was very chaotic. Why is it so desolate? It's just a bunch of withered mountains. There's not even a single plant. The divine bird looked around and asked curiously, "This is hell. Where do you think this is?" Yi Qinghan asked. The divine bird had been excited when they first arrived, but now it was filled with fear. It was afraid that a ghost would appear out of nowhere and eat them. "Don't worry, this is hell. There are no living creatures or beasts here. If souls are ghosts, then so are we. What are you afraid of?" Yi Qinghan reprimanded him. Boom! Whoosh! Just as Yi Qinghan finished speaking, a gust of wind swept over like a demon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It opened its bloody maw and bit down. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan was caught off guard. He rolled and escaped, avoiding the attack of the gale. The gravel under his feet was shattered, showing the power of the gale. Whoosh! 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 The gale seemed to have a will of its own. It actually chased after Yi Qinghan and pounced on him again. What? Damn! You still say there are no ghosts? Why is the gale chasing after us? The divine bird was on the verge of collapse. It was under immense pressure as it roared. Boom! Yi Qinghan didn't dodge this time. Instead, he slashed at the gale with his saber. His imposing aura was like a rainbow as he forcefully shattered the sinister gale. The gale dissipated into nothingness as a faint energy quietly retreated. Yi Qinghan's eyelids twitched as though he had been struck by lightning. His hair stood on end as he felt someone staring at him from behind. He hurriedly turned around, but there was no one behind him. "Don't scare me!" The divine bird cried out frantically. "Shut up!" Yi Qinghan suddenly felt his hair stand on end. It was as though a mortal had accidentally barged into a haunted house. Everywhere was eerie. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's breathing was a little unstable. He felt as if there were eyes staring at him from all directions. After circling around a few times, he still couldn't find anything. He couldn't help but wonder, could it be that I'm being paranoid and scaring myself? The heavenly reference record couldn't deduce hell or see through the order of reincarnation. Large beads of sweat appeared on Yi Qinghan's forehead and dripped down continuously. Tut, tut, tut. Yi Qinghan quickened his pace as he walked deeper into the forest. He became increasingly cautious as he gazed at the endless stretch of towering mountains in the distance. "Why don't we go back?" the divine bird suggested in horror. A black line appeared on Yi Qinghan's brows. They had already entered, so how could they possibly go back now? Besides, they still had to search for Emperor Ye's spirit. "From now on, shut your mouth," Yi Qinghan said angrily. Rustle. The gravel beneath his feet creaked as Yi Qinghan walked. He kept looking around because it was too strange. He kept feeling like someone was staring at him. Moreover, they were everywhere, but there was no trace of them. The divine bird was somewhat enraged by this situation. "Bastard, how dare you spy on the great divine bird? Scram, otherwise, the divine bird will be angered and raise hell to the ground." The divine bird was purposely bluffing to boost its courage, but the situation didn't change much. On the contrary, it became more and more serious. The sweat on Yi Qinghan's forehead increased until it was all cold sweat. Swoosh! A faint ray of light streaked across the sky. In front of him was a great river that stretched from east to west. Surging yellow water flowed rapidly. Not even a goose feather could float on this yellow water, but it could sink all things. Even those who were proficient in swimming couldn't walk on it. Moreover, the yellow spring's water was extremely poisonous. Those who touched it would die. The yellow spring's water flowed straight to the east, but the bridge of helplessness was nowhere to be seen. Gulp! Yi Qinghan spat out a mouthful of saliva. According to the towering Dao fruit's memories, the bridge of helplessness should be east of the yellow springs. He then followed the yellow springs downstream. After walking for several hundred kilometers, a majestic bridge appeared in Yi Qinghan's vision. There was actually a boat under the bridge that could float on water. This surprised Yi Qinghan. The bridge of helplessness. This is the bridge of helplessness? As expected, it's much more majestic than those fake hells outside, the divine bird muttered. He had seen many hells in the outside world, including the 9 serenities hell in the boundless star system. However, it seemed that it was only a small cycle of reincarnation. Moreover, it hadn't taken shape yet. It couldn't reincarnate those above the Master God level. The bridge was hundreds of meters long and dozens of meters high. There were sculptures of dragons and tigers on the pillars, and each brick contained supreme profundities that couldn't be destroyed. Yi Qinghan quickly stepped onto the bridge of helplessness. With each step, his memories would fade and his soul would become extremely tired. After 3 steps, he couldn't even keep his eyes open. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan quickly retreated and found that he couldn't cross the bridge of helplessness at all. A gale rose up once more, and large amounts of soul energy scattered and blew towards the other side of the bridge of helplessness. Mournful roars rang out incessantly. It was at this moment that a violent gale swept through the mountains and rivers and rushed towards Yi Qinghan, wanting to sweep him to the other side. Swish! Yi Qinghan was shocked. He jumped off the bridge and landed on the other side. He hid under the bridge, his heart still trembling with fear. Chapter 1608. Yi Qinghan hid under the bridge to avoid the attack of the cold wind. The wind whistled past, sweeping away a large number of souls. Bush, bush. You scared me to death. What's with this cold wind? The divine bird trembled in fear. It's part of the order of reincarnation. It sends all souls to a designated area to be reincarnated. However, the bridge of helplessness can take away all the souls' memories and then mess them up. Even if it doesn't mess them up, the memories will definitely not be left behind, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Then how do we get there? Without memories, we won't know what to do when we get there, the divine bird said helplessly. Yi Qinghan looked at the boat above the yellow spring and pointed. Don't you remember the 12 emissary families? They came here before. They must have relied on this. With that, Yi Qinghan went down the slope to the boat. When he stepped on it, he realized that he couldn't drive it forward. Yin-Yang law enforcement, limitless power. Boom. Yi Qinghan formed a seal and mobilized the power of the Yin-Yang Xian clan into the boat. The boat actually drove itself, braving the wind and waves, quickly reaching the center of the river. Yi Qinghan smiled. As expected, the 12 emissaries left him a path. The water of the yellow spring parted, and the boat appeared on the other side. Yi Qinghan leaped up, jumped onto the shore, and rushed out with the divine bird. After crossing the bridge of helplessness, they continued to go deeper. The cliff of reincarnation was in the center of hell, and the sinner eternal ones were suppressed in the depths of hell, under a prison tower. The prison tower was similar to the boundary tower. Even if they found the prison tower, it would be difficult to release the eternal ones. The sky was as black as ink. There was no night or day. There was no life. There was no other sound except for the sound of the wind. No living creature could survive here. Those with memories would be driven crazy. Yi Qinghan and the divine bird chatted to pass the time. Hell was vast and contained all the energy of life. It was vast and boundless. Yi Qinghan was like an ant facing the raging winds. The winds were like blades that scraped against his soul, causing him to feel a piercing pain. Sha sha sha. Yi Qinghan walked deeper into the abyss in search of the cliff of reincarnation. He was like an ant traversing through a vast world. It seemed fast, but compared to the true hell, it was extremely slow. After traveling for an unknown period of time, Yi Qinghan's soul was exhausted. It was as if he was walking on thin ice. Woo woo woo. The eerie wind howled, deafening enough to tear apart one's soul. If one wanted to preserve one's soul here, one would have to suffer a great deal of pain. Yi Qinghan's heart was heavy. At this moment, his heart ached. If Emperor Yi insisted on preserving her soul, he couldn't imagine how much pain she would have to endure. Would her soul vanish into thin air? The gale suddenly intensified, sweeping up sand and dust, covering the sky and the sun. Yi Qinghan gazed into the depths with a profound look in his eyes. He realized that something was amiss. There was a basin in front of him, and he was on high ground. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan reached the end of the high ground and looked down at the basin. He discovered that there was a gale whirlpool sweeping over. Behind the whirlpool was a black shadow. It was clearly a creature of flesh and blood. Damn, what the hell is this? How can it survive in hell? The divine bird said angrily. Yi Qinghan lay on the ground and looked at the basin. That black shadow was actually coming straight for him. The whirlpools in front of him protected the creature from both sides. In the blink of an eye, it had rushed to the front. Only when the two were 100 meters apart did Yi Qinghan get a clear look at the creature's appearance. It was somewhat similar to a human, but it had 4 legs. It was a reptilian creature with the longest and strongest forelimbs. Its eyes were suffused with a green glow, and its fangs were like daggers. It was incomparably sinister, and its facial expression was very rich. It should be an intelligent creature. The creature stared at Yi Qinghan and bared its fangs. It let out a low roar and sent out a spiritual wave. Human, how do you still have intelligence? The hell creature asked angrily. I am the Yin-Yang Xian race's emissary of the 12 emissaries. I am here to inspect the sinners. For you. Yi Qinghan did not retreat. He stared at the hell creature and said, You are from the emissary race. Why don't you know me? The hell creature asked suspiciously. Only the Yin-Yang Xian race of the 12 emissary races are left. Moreover, they had internal strife and suffered heavy losses. Now, most of their inheritances have been lost. It is normal that I do not know you. Yi Qinghan pretended to be calm as he replied. The hell creature stood up slightly. It was a head taller than Yi Qinghan and had thick limbs. It was definitely not something a soul body could deal with. Yi Qinghan was also not its match. I see. Since you are from the emissary race, let me see your identity card and we will go. The hell creature said emotionlessly. Identity card? Yi Qinghan did not have an identity card that allowed the Yin-Yang Xian race to travel in hell. However, with a wave of his hand, he could control Yin and Yang. The Yin-Yang record was activated and could travel through reincarnation. It was much stronger than Berserker and the Great Wasteland Tablet. The Yin-Yang record could steal one's soul. Runes shot out in all directions, scaring the hell creature into retreating. Since you are the emissary of the Yin-Yang Xian race, let us go. The hell creature said. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and put away the Yin-Yang record. He stared at the hell creature and said, You still haven't answered me. For you. I am the patrol inspector of the 1st District of Hell. My name is Zi Yang. The hell creature cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said seriously, So it is Patrol Inspector Lord Yang. I just happen to have something to ask. I wonder if Lord Yang can make it convenient for me? I dare not. Just call me Zi Yang. Emissary, if you have anything to ask, I will tell you everything I know. Zi Yang quickly replied. Have you met a woman like this in the outer region? She might not have any memories, but her soul should not have changed. Her will is very strong. I believe that her appearance in hell will not change much. Shua. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and projected Emperor Ye's appearance as he asked seriously. Zi Yang looked at Emperor Ye's appearance and said with a frown, There are many people who can keep their souls intact. However, without their memories, they will enter the 2nd district like walking corpses. If they can reach the 18th district, they can be reincarnated. Once these people cultivate to a certain level, they will be able to recover their memories. They are called the second life by humans. These people are outstanding and have strong wills. We patrol inspectors are only responsible for shattering their souls, but if the hurricane cannot shatter their souls, we will not make things difficult for them and will let them enter the 2nd district. If the hurricane in the 2nd district cannot shatter their souls, they will enter the 3rd district. If the woman you are looking for has a strong will, she should be in the later districts. Many thanks. Yi Qinghan was extremely excited. He brought the divine bird and rushed deeper into the district. Since these patrol inspectors will not make things difficult for individual souls, it is good. Little Mistress will definitely be fine. The divine bird was also very excited as it comforted him. Yi Qinghan nodded repeatedly. Soon he found a complete soul body. It had unconsciously maintained its appearance when it was alive, but its eyes were lifeless. It followed the guidance of reincarnation and slowly walked into the depths at an extremely slow speed. Chapter 1609. The deeper he went, the more mindless souls there were. Out of instinct, they would devour the scattered soul energy. They would even devour complete souls. Their souls would grow stronger with the increase in energy. Any soul that came into contact with Yi Qinghan would actively avoid him. Even though they had no consciousness or intelligence and were acting on instinct, they subconsciously understood that they were no match for Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan did not take the initiative to devour their energy. There was no need for that. If he wanted to devour them, how many souls could survive in hell? He did not want to interfere with hell's cycle of reincarnation. Rustle. Yi Qinghan quickly advanced. He could only see the cliff of reincarnation when he reached District 9. Yi Qinghan quickened his pace. He was unimpeded and entered District 2 in about half a month. There were clearly more complete souls in District 2 and they were even stronger. They were like wandering ghosts with no intelligence to speak of. Yi Qinghan shuttled through the spirit bodies and watched them fight. Everything came from instinct. It didn't look spectacular at all, but it was extremely bitter. At the slightest move, one's soul would scatter, never to be reincarnated. Screech. The soul's shrill screams were incessant. The divine bird's pores widened as its feathers stood on end. Occasionally, a few powerful souls would attempt to devour Yi Qinghan, but they would be sent flying the moment they approached. They were all instinctive actions. Yi Qinghan did not kill them all. He just scared them off. However, Yi Qinghan's actions were extremely intelligent. They easily attracted the attention of the patrol envoys in District 2. Several days later, a powerful patrol envoy appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. He stared at Yi Qinghan with a sinister expression. A sinister gust of wind with a soul-shredding force enveloped Yi Qinghan. It was much stronger than the other souls. Your Excellency, patrol envoys. Yi Qinghan was just about to explain when the patrol envoys appeared in front of him. He was unwilling to communicate and had no choice but to stop him. Boom! A beam of energy controlled the will of hell's reincarnation, shattering the surrounding wind. Yi Qinghan immediately took a few steps back and said in a deep voice, "Sir Inspector, I am the Yin-Yang Xian race's messenger of the 12 emissaries. I am here to inspect the sinners on the other side of the reincarnation cliff." Messengers? Why don't you go through the proper channels? The inspector questioned coldly. What is a proper channel? My clan's legacy has been severed. We only know our mission, Yi Qinghan replied coldly. Envoy, please take the official road. You are not allowed to interfere with the order of reincarnation. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. The inspector coldly reprimanded. Where is the official road? Yi Qinghan frowned. These inspectors were really cold. If he took out the Yin-Yang profound record, who knew what his attitude would be? The official road is 300 miles north from here. You will encounter a special road. Lone souls and wild ghosts cannot enter. That is the official road of the emissaries. Your speed will also be much faster there, the inspector coldly replied. Yi Qinghan looked north and then looked at the inspector. He waved his hand and projected the image of Emperor Yi. He asked, I wonder if the inspector has seen this soul? Anything in hell's reincarnation has nothing to do with you. It is best if you do not interfere. The dead have already passed away. I do not care who she is to you. In short, even if you meet her, you are not allowed to bring her back. Otherwise, the reincarnation will be chaotic and both your souls will be scattered. And we inspectors will suffer along with her. The inspector's murderous intent was clear. He looked straight at Yi Qinghan and did not give him any face. Yi Qinghan's fingers clenched slightly. The yin-yang profound record spun in his sea of consciousness. It could cross the soul at any time and come here from the physical body. However, after thinking for a moment, Yi Qinghan did not plan to use the yin-yang profound record to suppress these inspectors. There were definitely powerful inspectors among them who did not fear the yin-yang profound record. It would not be good for them to fall out with it. Thank you for the reminder. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said. He then turned and sped north. What an arrogant inspector. Although he is stronger than the first district's inspector and controls a larger territory, why don't you whip him for speaking to his master like that? The divine bird said indignantly. The inspectors and emissaries each have their own duties. The emissaries and Hell's inspectors have different roles. We cannot order them or suppress them. Otherwise, it will only make things worse. I estimate that the prince's soul is very powerful. Especially since he can devour soul energy in Hell's reincarnation, he will definitely become much stronger. He should be in the middle area now. He might even reach the 9th district. There is no need for us to fall out with the inspectors in the areas ahead, Yi Qinghan said calmly. After saying that, Yi Qinghan increased his speed. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he reached the official road 100 miles away. The official road was enveloped by an invisible energy that extended deep. Soul bodies could not enter at all. Only the powerful inspectors and emissaries could enter this place. Yi Qinghan mobilized his yin-yang profound force and stepped onto the official road. He was not stopped. The official road could move forward automatically, increasing Yi Qinghan's speed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. His speed was several times faster than before. The official road was also increasing his speed. After 10 days he entered the 3rd district. The official road automatically reminded him when he crossed the 3rd district. His journey was unobstructed. After about 2 months, he entered the 9th district. The reincarnation cliff was right in front of him. A sky-high cliff spanned the north and south, blocking the east and west. Other than the official road, there were only a few iron chain bridges that spanned across the reincarnation cliff. On both sides of the reincarnation cliff, there were inspectors standing guard. Since you have entered the reincarnation cycle, the past is gone. Those with great merit can choose to reincarnate first. The inspector's voice was majestic and emotionless. He was like a machine that carried out the order of reincarnation. No matter how strong the expert was, he could not change it. Yi Qinghan quietly appeared near the iron chain and stared at the group of lifeless soul bodies. Some were complete, and some were pure energy. They rose with the wind and stepped onto the other side of the reincarnation cliff. Less than 1,000 meters to the east of the reincarnation cliff, there was a huge city. It was incomparably majestic and towered into the sky. Outside the city, there was a large group of inspectors patrolling. Their cultivation was about the same as the giant god, but they were all made of flesh and blood. In this place, they were invincible. The hurricane that they controlled could tear souls apart. They were the supreme masters of the reincarnation hell. The first reincarnation city should be able to find the little master's information. Should we force our way in? The divine bird asked excitedly. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. If they forced their way in and could not find any information about Emperor Yi, then they would go for wool and come home shorn. They would have to force their way in. If they failed, wouldn't they lose their chance forever? Let's enter the city first and have a chat with their city lord. The Hell Reincarnation Venerable who controls the 9th district should be a reasonable person, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. I hope so. The divine bird flapped its wings and said indifferently. Yi Qinghan resolutely walked towards Samsara city. But as soon as he arrived outside the city, he was stopped by a large group of patrol officers. The patrol officers were full of murderous intent as they surrounded Yi Qinghan. Chapter 1610. More than 10 inspectors blocked Yi Qinghan's path. Wild gales raged as they wrapped around him. They were much more powerful than when they were dealing with spirit bodies. Yi Qinghan mobilized the Yin-Yang Xian energy and explained immediately, I'm from the Yin-Yang Xian clan of the emissary branch. I'm here to visit the governor of Samsara city. I have something to discuss with him. Go away. The guardian emissary and the Samsara inspectors have nothing to do with each other. Please return to the official road immediately. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. The leader of the inspectors said coldly. Yi Qinghan frowned. This inspector was too inhumane. You're not the first guardian emissary to die in the hands of the inspectors. Do you want to die here? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The gloomy wind was whistling, tearing up the sand and stones. It covered the sky and the sun. Wind blades approached Yi Qinghan with dense killing intent. The souls didn't dare to get close to this place. There were a lot of souls in the city. Damn, you don't respect my master? Do you know that this divine bird is a great and supreme existence? My master is the most powerful being in the 9 worlds. Do you know who you're talking to? The divine bird bluffed and questioned angrily. It's none of our business. This is the hell of samsara. We only care about order. Even if you're an eternal one, you have to follow the rules here. The leader of the inspectors rebuked angrily. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and motioned for the divine bird to be quiet. Then he mobilized the Yin-Yang Xian record. The order of samsara changed according to his will. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Ask the governor of Samsara city to come out and see me. Yi Qinghan said coldly. The powerful coercion carried the rolling heaven's might. Yin and Yang were in order. The inspectors of hell didn't dare to move. Bush. The inspectors stepped back unwillingly. Seeing the Yin-Yang Xian record suppressing hell and controlling the order, they didn't dare to speak ill of Yi Qinghan. One of the inspectors quickly entered the city. After an incense stick's worth of time, an inspector appeared at the city gate and said respectfully, Yin-Yang envoy, the city lord invites you in. Yi Qinghan nodded and followed the inspector into the city. The souls on both sides quickly separated, only daring to raise their heads slightly to peek at Yi Qinghan and the Yin-Yang order around him. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan shuttled through the streets. There were streets in the city, and there were some strange trees and flowers, but there were no houses. This was because soul bodies did not need houses. Following the passageway through the forest garden, after about a few hundred meters, a large number of palaces appeared. It was as deep as an imperial palace, and the outer perimeter was filled with patrols. In the deepest part, there was the largest palace. There was no color, only the color of ink. It was gloomy and heavy, and no one dared to profane it. Walking along the ancient buildings, they quickly arrived at the largest palace. Lord Envoy, please enter the palace. The Lord is waiting for you in the main hall. The inspector bowed and said. Yi Qinghan nodded and quickly brought the divine bird into the main hall. The interior of the main hall was huge, about 100 meters deep. There were pillars supporting the palace above, and curtains were fluttering without wind, covering most of the space. In the deepest part of the palace, there was a person whose appearance could not be seen clearly. The reason why he was called a person was because his appearance was exactly the same as a human. It was just that his face was covered by white hair, and his appearance could not be seen clearly. Yin-Yang Xian Zhe, the guardian envoy of the Yin-Yang Xian race, is here to visit the city lord. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly and said respectfully, You are not from the Yin-Yang Xian race. The white-haired elder's voice was hoarse, as if he had lived for countless years. His words contained the vicissitudes of history. Yi Qinghan was stunned. He did not expect this elder to know that he was not from the Yin-Yang Xian race. I have seen the Yin-Yang Xian race before. The Yin-Yang Xian race's bloodline is different. For you, why do you have the Yin-Yang Xian race's treasure, the Yin-Yang Xian record? Why did you appear in hell? I am looking for 2 people. If you can help me, I will definitely help you. Yi Qinghan stared at the elder and said confidently, There is no need for me to help you. There's nothing inconvenient about it. I've been enforcing order in the land of reincarnation for many years and witnessed many civilizations. No one dares to cause trouble here. Apart from the messengers, you're the first person with soul memories to enter hell. This is something outside of order. If you really want to make things convenient for me, please leave immediately. I won't stop you. The elder raised his head slightly, and his white hair fell to his shoulders. There was light behind him, but it also covered his appearance. His words and actions were filled with order and majesty. If it were anyone else, they would have quit while they were ahead and chosen to leave. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan had come here to find Emperor Yi, Bai Zhe, and Bai Shaoxing. However, he also understood that Bai Zhe was Bai Shaoxing, and Bai Shaoxing was Bai Zhe. It was just that he did not recover his memory during his second reincarnation, so he did not live a second life. Yi Qinghan smiled and shook his head. He stared at the Samsara city lord and said firmly, I came to the hell Samsara with a purpose. Since I'm here, I won't give up until I reach my goal. If Supreme Holiness wants me to achieve my goal, I'll do whatever you ask. It seems that you want to be my enemy. In hell, I am the master. As long as you are in District 9, no one is my match. I am only unwilling to attack you because of the Yin Yang Xian record. Don't disappoint me. Whoosh. The elder stood up slowly. He was about 1.75 meters tall, neither tall nor short. He was as thin as a matchstick. His loose white robe fluttered without wind and swayed with the curtain. His aura was domineering, and his power covered the entire hall. With a thought, the space around him was imprisoned. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows moved slightly. He shook his body and found that his soul was imprisoned by the elder in front of him. It was extremely difficult for him to move. Boom! Yi Qinghan mobilized the Yin Yang Xian record to break the will of the four directions. The Yin Yang Xian Qi formed an 8 trigrams pattern in front of him. His eyes were like lightning, pressing down on the elder. The elder's eyes were like bright moons. Only his face could not be seen clearly. It was dark and chaotic. I am in control of the order, and I will not let anyone destroy it. The elder's hoarse voice echoed in the hall. The order is set by people, and it can be changed by people. I am only asking you for the souls of 2 people so that they can be reincarnated first. Is this too much? Yi Qinghan retorted, and his aura was even stronger. Everything has its own destiny. I am destiny. Buzz. Whoosh! The Yin Yang Xian record shone brightly, covering the entire hall. Finally, the elder's face could be seen clearly. His eyes were deep, and his eye sockets were sunken. His eyes were cloudy, and his cheekbones were high. He looked like a corpse that had been dead for countless years. There was no breath of life. Yi Qinghan looked down at the elder from above. He shook his head and said, "Supreme Venerable, everyone needs help. As long as you are willing to help me, you can ask for anything you want. You will never be able to give me what I want. Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, I will send you on your way." Boom! The elder grabbed the void. His bony fingers tore the void and slashed at Yi Qinghan's soul. Boom! Bang! Yi Qinghan waved his hand to control the Yin Yang Xian record. The order of the 4 directions was changed, and the hall shook. Swoosh! The Yin Yang Xian record flew up to the sky and enlarged, trying to suppress the elder. Boom! The elder's fist landed on the Yin Yang Xian record. The order of the laws contained in the Yin Yang Xian record was suppressed. It was like a sharp blade cutting the surface of the sea. He could not use any strength. Chapter 1611. The Yin Yang record retreated and the order was forcefully destroyed. In the Hell reincarnation, the Hell Inspector was the highest. The City Lord of the Great Reincarnation City was even more so. It was not strange that he could suppress the Yin Yang record in Hell. Yi Qinghan turned his finger and pushed the Yin Yang record toward the governor of Samsara City. The hall was shaking. Towering spirits, I am the order. Yin Yang law, suppress everything. Boom, boom, boom. The Yin Yang record exploded and radiated countless rays of light that wrapped around the governor of Samsara City. The Yin Yang record pressed down from the top of the hall. It was as if the sky was broken and no one could escape. The governor of Samsara City was shocked. He did not expect that someone who was not from the Yin Yang tribe could control the Yin Yang record to its peak state. At this moment, the governor of Samsara City's leg bones were broken and a drop of essence blood flowed out of his withered body. This drop of essence blood contained a lot of energy. Once lost, it could not be replenished for many years. Swish! Yi Qinghan knew when to stop. Seeing that the governor of Samsara City could not resist him, he waved his hand and took back the Yin Yang mysterious record. Instead, he said respectfully, "Thank you for your kindness, Governor. I'm sorry to offend you. I'm not here to challenge your authority. I sincerely hope to find these 2 wives. If you are willing to help me, you can name any conditions you want." Phew, phew. The governor of Samsara City was panting and his face was pale. His withered body was trembling. That moment was no less than hundreds of years of fighting with opponents at the same level. He looked up at Yi Qinghan's determined and dignified face. After a long time, he said in a hoarse voice, You are the only one who can cultivate to your level and still value relationships so much that you are willing to pay any price for women. I would like to see the beauty of an adult. Tell me their background and appearance, and I will help you look them up. As for the price, I hope you remember that you owe me a favor. Thank you, Your Holiness. Yi Qinghan was very excited. He waved his hand and projected the faces of Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing. They were both peerless and extraordinary. The two illusory images added color to hell. It was like a spring shower. Especially the two pairs of big eyes, which were bright and piercing, like the bright moon, captivating people's hearts and souls. They are both peerless. It should be easy. The governor of Samsara City did not want to offend Yi Qinghan again, so he compromised and asked in a low voice, "May I ask what their names are? Where are they from? When did they die?" Yi Qinghan record and Bai Shaoxing, who should be Saintus by Zhe Saintus. They are both from the chaotic world of 9 realms heaven. Your Holiness. Please, Your Holiness, Your Holiness. Please help me, Holiness. He Highness. And I. Holy Holiness. And I. The governor of Samsara City waved his hand and summoned a thick and heavy book of life and death. Each page represented a reincarnation cycle. Life and death were recorded in the book of life and death. No one could transcend life and death. Of course, the Eternal One was an exception. Reading through the book of life and death, the 20,000-year reincarnation cycle of the chaotic world of 9 realms heaven appeared in front of him. Suddenly, the old man's eyes lit up. He looked up at Yi Qinghan and said in a hoarse voice, "So this chaotic world was destroyed by you." I had to do it. Otherwise, all the creatures in the 9 realms heaven would be destroyed. Yi Qinghan was very determined. He did not regret it at all. There were not many people who could kill a world without batting an eyelid. The old man shook his head and said no more. Life and death were predestined. Everything had its order. Life had its value. Destruction was also part of the cycle. Swish. A ray of light flashed and a reincarnation cycle appeared in the main hall. It was the scene after Bai Shaoxing's death. The energy of her soul did not dissipate. Instead, it was guided into the reincarnation cycle by the order. However, her obsession was not dead. Her ambition was too strong. Her soul was condensed and traveled through hell. Her reincarnation cycle was clearly displayed in front of Yi Qinghan. He watched as the soul moved forward unconsciously. She withstood countless gusts of wind and finally entered the 9th district 1,200 years ago. Unfortunately, she used more than 500 years to cross the 9th district and reach the other side of the reincarnation cliff. Emperor Yi was much stronger than Bai Shaoxing. Although he died about 1,000 years ago, he had already entered the 10th district and reached the other side of the reincarnation cliff. This Emperor Yi has just entered the 10th district. He probably traveled for more than a month. The 10th district is very wide. She moved forward unconsciously. It would take her at least 100 years to cross the 10th district. This Bai Shaoxing is indeed the reincarnation of Bai Zhe. However, her fate has already dissipated. She is now a mortal who was born from her obsession. Once her obsession is destroyed, her soul will dissipate. The reincarnation city lord said in a hoarse voice. Yi Qinghan was very excited. He finally found their whereabouts. They were in the next district. Swish. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said, "Supreme Emperor, I will always remember this kindness. When I find them, I will return to repay you." However, the old man shook his head and said, "If you enter the 10th district so recklessly, you will definitely return empty-handed. The reincarnation city lord of the 10th district is not someone we can fight against. Even if you have the yin-yang mystic record, you will not be able to change the order. Even if you find them, you will not be able to take them away. If you forcefully change the order, you will not be able to escape death. The reincarnation order is very perfect. Every step and every detail is linked. A single mistake will cause a great collapse and the reincarnation order will shatter you into pieces." Yi Qinghan frowned slightly. However, he was a smart person. Since the old man was willing to remind him, he was naturally willing to help. Supreme Emperor, please give me some advice. Thank you very much. Yi Qinghan bowed and said, in every district, people can be reincarnated. However, after the 10th district, those who are reincarnated will be dragons and phoenixes among men. Of course, their souls may also be destroyed and they will never have the chance to be reincarnated. If you want to take them away, you might as well find them and escort them all the way to the 18th district. Ask the eternal expert to tell you where they will be reincarnated. Of course, whether you can ask the eternal expert to help you or not depends on your own luck. The old man said seriously, there are eternal experts in hell? Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank and he was a little shocked. Of course there are eternal experts. How can there not be eternal experts in hell? However, if they can become eternal experts in hell, they must be recognized by the hell reincarnation. They are supreme and control hell. Generally, they will not meet us mortals. If you can't meet them, you can only comprehend hell and become eternal. Then you can observe the reincarnation cycle and find their whereabouts. The old man reminded him. If they are reincarnated, where are they most likely to be reincarnated? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. After the 10th district, they will be reincarnated in the eternal world. Before the 9th district, they will be reincarnated in various small worlds. Of course, there are exceptions. Everything has exceptions. The old man replied. Chapter 16:12. Yi Qinghan bowed and left after getting a definite answer. He had given the old man enough face. At the Samsara City Lord's level, he had a certain level of wisdom. He understood human emotions and knew how to communicate. If he didn't accept the face that was given to him, he would be throwing his face away for others to step on. Giving Yi Qinghan a favor, no matter how much he could return the favor, this favor was still there. The old man watched Yi Qinghan leave. His eyes flickered as he muttered, such a young sector lord. Perhaps he really has the chance to become an eternal sovereign. There aren't many in the eternal world who can reach this step. I hope this favor will allow me to leave this damned place. Yi Qinghan brought the divine bird back to the main road. At this moment he was exceptionally excited, and his face was brimming with excitement. The divine bird could feel Yi Qinghan's happiness and chirped nonstop. Yi Qinghan stepped over the reincarnation cliff and entered the 10th district. He was submerged in a large number of soul bodies. Most of them were scattered energy. Those who had complete soul bodies were 1 in a million. We will look for Huang Er and Shaoxing first. If we find them, we will directly bring them to the eternal sovereign sinner. If we can cooperate, we will release him. I don't care if he is a sinner or not. As long as we can save the two of them, the eternal sovereign will take care of the sinner. Yi Qinghan smiled. I would rather betray the world than let the world betray me. The 10th burrow was circular, and the 18th burrow grew larger and larger the further one went into it. However, the 10th burrow had color and a faint glow. It also had a bit of life force. Weeds and thistles grew, and tall mountains and trees had existed for countless years. It would take a lot of effort to find Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing in the 10th district. However, Yi Qinghan didn't care. He just wanted to return as soon as possible. Even if that bastard Padian was still alive, he was still worried even though Yan Ao was controlling the army and could stop his attack. Let's speed up. Yi Qinghan stared ahead, searching aimlessly. According to their speed, Bai Shaoxing was the slowest and should still be in the outskirts of the 10th district. Whoosh 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 dot swish. Swish. Yi Qinghan sped along the outskirts of hell like a bolt of lightning. He moved faster and faster in accordance with the order of hell. However, as Yi Qinghan advanced, he immediately attacked the patrol envoys of the 10th district. A large number of patrol envoys surrounded him from all directions, stirring up strong gales that shattered countless energy bodies. No less than a dozen patrol envoys were caught in the crossfire. These patrol envoys were all 1 in a million. The yin-yang profound record rushed out of his body and shone with divine light, intimidating everyone within 10,000 miles. A large number of inspectors stopped in their tracks and looked at Yi Qinghan warily. The yin-yang envoys of the emissary branch are here to search for someone. Do not obstruct them, or they will be killed without mercy. Yi Qinghan stared coldly at the crowd, his soul pressing down on the patrol envoys like the heavens. This is hell. The task of guarding the sinners is ours. You are just watching from the periphery. You only have the right to inspect, but you don't have the right to run amok in hell. If you don't return to the main road, you will be executed. A hell inspector coldly rebuked. Bush, 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 bush. A strong wind blew, stirring up a sandstorm. The energy that was sucked into the sandstorm was turned into dust. A large amount of soul energy unconsciously escaped outwards. Why are these patrol envoys so stubborn? Don't they know the ways of the world? The divine bird said speechlessly. Yi Qinghan shook his head and whispered, the patrol envoys here are high and mighty. No soul body can compete with them. Unlike the human world, where there are many families, they only obey the samsara city masters. They will not give face to anyone. Then what should we do? Kill them? The divine bird flew into a rage out of humiliation and glared at the patrol envoys. There were dozens of them, and each of them was a super existence. Most importantly, they had flesh and blood bodies, so they had a natural advantage against soul bodies. Think of a way to outsmart them. Attacking by force is the last resort, Yi Qinghan replied. The divine bird's eyes flashed, and its eyes rolled. Looking at the patrol envoys' expressionless faces and lifeless eyes, which were like machines, an idea flashed through its mind. Suddenly, it held its head high and said, My master and I are here under orders from the Eternal Sovereign. Do you dare to disobey the orders of the Eternal Sovereign? The patrol envoys were stunned. In their eyes, the Eternal Sovereign was the Father God. No one dared to disobey their will. So they all looked at the patrol envoys with the highest rank, waiting for him to make a decision. The patrol envoys with the highest rank stared at Yi Qinghan and asked coldly, Which Eternal Sovereign ordered you to do this? Do you have proof? Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He had never seen or even heard of an Eternal Sovereign. He only knew that the sinner was an Eternal Sovereign. You are lying. You have covered it up yourself. Yi Qinghan transmitted a message to the divine bird. Cough, cough. The divine bird pretended to be unfathomable. It looked proudly at the patrol envoys and said, This divine bird is here under orders from the Lord of Hell to find 2 spiritual bodies. These 2 are top-grade beauties. The Lord of Hell has taken a fancy to them and wants to bring them back to the 18th district. But he doesn't want outsiders to know about it, so as not to ruin his reputation. So he asked us to come out alone without any proof. Seeing that you are loyal to hell, I am giving you a chance. If you help us find them, this divine bird will put in a good word for you in front of the great Lord of Hell. The patrol envoys were stunned. If they suspected it, and if it was true, wouldn't they offend the Lord of Hell? If they didn't suspect, Yi Qinghan licked his teeth with the tip of his tongue and reprimanded the divine bird. The great Lord of Hell strictly forbids anyone from telling this mission. How can you tell these patrol envoys? If it were to spread, wouldn't the supreme glory of the Lord of Hell be tarnished? These patrol envoys had never seen a human before. Their intelligence was almost degenerating. They only knew how to maintain order. They were no match for Yi Qinghan and the divine bird. In the blink of an eye, they were speechless. Instead, they were terrified. I believe that they are very loyal. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. They will never betray the great Lord of Hell, the divine bird said with a wicked smile. Yes, yes, yes. How would we dare to tarnish the reputation of the great Lord of Hell? We didn't hear or see anything today. The patrol envoys in the lead hurriedly gave the rest of the patrol envoys a look. We didn't hear anything. The rest of the patrol envoys shook their heads to show their loyalty. See, I told you that they are very loyal. The reputation of the great Lord of Hell will never be tarnished, the divine bird said solemnly. With an identity that couldn't be investigated and a mission that couldn't be revealed, the patrol inspector didn't dare to have any doubts. Even if he did, he wouldn't dare to investigate. You can't say that you didn't hear anything. You still have to help us complete this mission. You are the patrol envoys. Help us find these 2 spiritual bodies. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and projected the faces of Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing. They were indeed peerless beauties. It wasn't strange for the Lord of Hell to give such an order. Chapter 16:13. The divine bird tricked the patrol envoy. Since there was no way to verify it, the patrol envoy didn't dare to investigate this matter for fear of tarnishing the reputation of an eternal sovereign. He could only help Yi Qinghan find the two of them. Yi Qinghan followed the inspector with the highest rank. With him there, the other inspectors would not ask about it. The gray-white mountains and rivers in the vast 10th region looked quite sinister. The most terrifying thing was that the gales that occasionally swept up were only targeted at souls. Once they were torn apart, they would scatter to other places, and that person would disappear forever. They would then merge with other energies to form another creature. The souls would also fight with each other to devour each other's energy to strengthen themselves. Some of the energy did not transform into their original appearance for the sake of speed. They were like a cloud, smaller than a fist. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He was afraid of missing them. But looking for one or two people in the 10th zone was like looking for a needle in a haystack. After months of searching, he still could not find Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing. He did not see any acquaintances. This is not a good way. It is not easy to find two people in such a large 10th zone. Let's try another way. Let's go to the Samsara city in the 10th zone and trick the Castellan into helping us. The divine bird suggested to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan rejected the suggestion. Using the order of the Eternal Ones of Hell as an excuse could frighten the inspectors, but it could not frighten the Castellan of Samsara city. Presumably, all the Castellans of the 10th zone had seen the Eternal Ones, so it would be harder to trick them. Let's rely on luck. Think of a way. If it doesn't work, we can compete with the Castellan of the 10th zone. Yi Qinghan secretly transmitted his voice back. Bush, 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 bush. All the inspectors were mobilized by the high-ranking inspector to find the location of Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing. The inspectors seemed to have a powerful background. After chatting for a while, Yi Qinghan found out that the inspector was the commander-in-chief of the inspectors. He had 3,000 inspectors under his command and his position was second only to the Castellan of the 10th zone. After mobilizing a large number of patrol officers, news quickly spread. Bai Shaoxing was the slowest, so he was intercepted by the patrol officers and sent to Yi Qinghan. His soul floated in the air without any consciousness. It was wrapped up by a wisp of energy, and it didn't even have the ability to transform into its original body. Yi Qinghan sensed the familiar aura and his body shivered. He waved his hand and kept Bai Shaoxing's soul into his hand. She was Bai Shaoxing and also Bai Zhe. Unfortunately, she didn't have the luck of the Bai Zhe race and her soul was so weak that she couldn't even struggle in the hands of Yi Qinghan. But before he could rejoice, another piece of news came. Reporting. Emperor Ye's whereabouts have been investigated. He has been taken away by the senior patrol envoy. We only know that he is a patrol envoy from the 12th district. We do not dare to investigate further. Please give us further instructions. An patrol envoy quickly rushed over and respectfully said. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He stared at the patrol envoy's domain chief and asked in a low voice, "Has any patrol envoy done this before?" The patrol envoy's domain chief shook his head and replied with certainty, "No. Everyone's samsara order is very important. No one in the 10th district can interfere with the samsara order. However, after the 12th district, the senior patrol envoy or samsara city master may interfere. Once this happens, it means that someone has set their eyes on that soul. It's either the inheritance or the lust." Damn it. Yi Qinghan was anxious. He cupped his fists in greeting, then turned around and rushed onto the main road, increasing his speed. "How dare you steal the young master? You are courting death." The divine bird was furious and scolded loudly. Yi Qinghan was not in the mood to reply to it. He only cared about rushing forward. After rushing for more than a month, he crossed the 10th district and entered the 11th district. However, he still couldn't catch up with the patrol envoy who had Emperor Ye's soul. He could only rush forward again. The patrol envoy also took the official road. As long as he was fast enough, he could definitely meet them in the 11th district. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and activated his soul to the strongest state. His soul flashed like a stream of light, drawing a flame on the official road. If he moved faster, his soul would be burned. Whoosh! The stream of light shuttled back and forth on the official road. Half a month later, he reached the 12th district. But he still couldn't catch up. Now there were two paths. He could either enter the main city of the 12th district or continue on the official road. One wrong step would cause him to miss the opportunity. Heaven and earth are limitless, yin and yang borrow power, the origin of all things is revealed. Yi Qinghan made a seal and activated the mysterious record of yin and yang to deduce the changes on the official road. Soon, a shadow appeared on the official road. It was the three powerful messengers who rushed into the depths of the 13th district with Emperor Ye's soul. They had already reached the 13th district and were still moving forward. Their destination was at least the 14th district. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan rushed forward again. The official road was unobstructed. After another 20 days, he entered the 13th district. A month later, Yi Qinghan entered the 14th district. When he was deducing again, he found that the three patrol envoys had just left the 13th district with Emperor Ye's soul. After entering the 14th district, they left the official road. Their destination was the 14th district. The 14th district's Samsara city. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He sped up and went straight to the 14th district. In the 14th district, the three patrol envoys forcefully wrapped Emperor Ye's soul and rushed into the Samsara. Wherever they passed, all souls retreated. A large amount of soul energy was scattered and gathered together. Boom! One of the patrol envoys forcefully shattered a complete soul and interfered with the order of the soul's samsara. Get lost! The patrol envoy scolded coldly. The souls were so scared that they all fled. Screeched at the souls let out shrill screams that lingered in the ears. It was eerie and terrifying. Although the 14th district's hellish environment was beautiful, it was even more terrifying because some patrol envoys did not care about the order. They would forcefully change it. The sky was blue and the water was clear. The mountains and rivers were no longer black and white. The flowers were red and the willows were green. Some creatures lived here, but they did not dare to interfere with the order of the souls. They did not even dare to attack the souls. The three patrol envoys brought Emperor Ye's soul close to the Samsara city. They were domineering all the way and no one dared to stop them. Emperor Ye's soul was struggling, but the light net that bound her soul was like a divine weapon that imprisoned the heavens. Her soul could not move at all. If it wasn't for the second young master of the city lord's family who liked you, you wouldn't be able to behave so atrociously. The patrol envoy scolded angrily. However, he did not dare to abuse Emperor Ye's soul. Emperor Ye's soul did not have any consciousness, but she had her own obsession. Although she did not understand why, she wanted to reincarnate. She wanted to maintain her complete soul and reincarnate. At this moment, she did not want to be interfered with. A few days later, the three patrol envoys brought Emperor Yi to a majestic city. It was circular like a cylinder. However, the sky was not sealed. It was like a turret. The city walls were thick and there were layers of enchantments. It seemed like it was defending against something. They did not understand why the ruler of hell would build such a city and who it was defending against. Even if a fake realm lord came personally, he would not be able to break through such a city, let alone a soul. The patrol envoy showed his identity card and the city gates were opened. Creaked. The thick gates were at least 1,000 pounds. They were all made of steel. At the top of the city walls, there were hundreds of patrol envoys aiming their Vajra iron crossbows at the bottom of the city walls. Looking down from the high city walls, one could see that there were many similar cities around. However, they were much smaller. The souls in this region were all gathered together and walked towards the depths of the city. The patrol envoys on the city walls aimed their crossbows at a group of souls. A large amount of soul energy enveloped them and escorted them to a small city a few hundred miles away. Only then did they put down their Vajra divine crossbows. A low roar reverberated through the various cities, scaring the patrol envoy so much that his expression changed. Inside the city, palaces stood in great numbers. Flowers, grass, trees, and ancient divine medicines were everywhere. There were some soul bodies that were bound within the palaces, all of them female. They had evolved flesh and blood bodies, unconsciously carrying plates, walking around like machines. They had been completely tamed. Chapter 1614. The inspector of the 14th district actually destroyed the order. The city lord was even more extravagant, gathering countless souls of female cultivators for his own enjoyment. Daring to do this, the city lord of the 14th district must have a big background. He didn't care about the punishment of the Eternal Ones, or rather, the Eternal Ones wouldn't punish him at all. Emperor Ye's soul was imprisoned and sent to a courtyard next to the main hall. The courtyard was a courtyard house. The houses were very ancient, with a kind of artistic ancient charm. Far away in the corridor was a row of female cultivators. They were expressionless, without a trace of emotion in their eyes, only mechanized movements. In the center of the courtyard was a small pavilion. In the pavilion sat a young man. He looked no different from a human expert. Moreover, he was divine like jade, distinguished and elegant. His every move carried a trace of the order of reincarnation. The man sat on a stone stool in the pavilion. Beside him was a small round stone table filled with divine herbs and fruits, all of which were the specialties of hell. Young master, she's the most suitable candidate for the person you want. We searched more than 10 regions before we found her. Her soul is perfect. Even without her memories, her eyes still have a kind of light that makes one's heart throb. A senior patrol officer respectfully knelt beside the young man and said flatteringly, "This young man was the son of the 14th district's reincarnation city lord. His name was Xian, and his surname was Tianmu. It was a very ancient surname." The young man's big hand clasped a transparent cup. The bejeweled nectar inside swayed in the cup. His eyes were like torches, staring at Emperor Ye's soul in the light net. It emitted a different color from other souls, always carrying a trace of golden light. It was extraordinary, 1 in a billion. The young man's eyes bloomed with light. His thin lips raised into a sneer. He said hoarsely, "Since you know she is the person I want, why did you use the light net to cover my beauty?" Bang. The other 2 senior inspectors were frightened and quickly knelt on the ground. They released Emperor Ye's soul in the light net, then kowtowed and begged. Shua. Emperor Yi wasn't affected by the restrictions. In the blink of an eye, he transformed back into his human form. His immortal robes fluttered, and he didn't look like a dead person at all. The spirituality in his eyes was even more moving than a living person's. At this moment, he looked at Tian Muxuan vigilantly and slowly retreated. "Miss, you've been wronged. It's all my fault for scaring you." Tian Muxuan smiled and gestured for Emperor Yi to sit down. He then waved his hand and said, "Men, take these 3 bastards away and behead them. Shatter their souls and never let them reincarnate. Young master, please spare me. Her soul is very powerful, and we can't catch her without the net of light." The 3 patrol envoys knelt on the ground in fear as they begged for mercy in despair. "We didn't do it on purpose. Young master, please spare us this once on account of our meritorious service." However, Tian Muxuan was still smiling. His smile was filled with killing intent. He didn't look at the 3 patrol envoys. Instead, he looked at Emperor Yi and smiled gently. "Miss, please sit. I won't hurt you." Renhuang Yi did not have any memories or thoughts. She only had an obsession, but her spirit had more or less retained some intelligence. She knew that she could not force her way out of this place, so she stepped into the pavilion and slowly sat down. Her every movement carried a trace of dignity and holiness, making others not dare to look directly at her. Tian Muxuan's brows twitched. He could see that Emperor Ye's origin wasn't small. This kind of power was like a mother model of the world, not allowing others to blaspheme her. "Young master." At this moment, a white-haired old man walked out from one of the courtyards. His eyes were filled with the radiance of wisdom. He was spirited and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He had actually cultivated his soul to the Ghost Lord realm and had produced the power of flesh and blood. Tian Muxuan nodded slightly, showing some respect. He stood up and said, "Elder Huang, please sit." Many thanks, young master. The old man sat beside Emperor Yi. His eyes carefully scrutinized Emperor Ye's actions and bearing. He said with a dignified tone, "Young master, this person's origin might be problematic. Should we let the master investigate before making a decision?" The corners of Tian Mushuan's lips rose. His smile was chilling, but his tone was gentle and refined. He lightly said, "Elder Huang, this is the reincarnation hell. The order is set by us. Even the eternal existences of the great world cannot interfere. You are being too careful." It's better to be safe than sorry. Even if this girl crossed the bridge of helplessness and crossed the reincarnation cliff, she still has such an appearance and temperament. Her eyes even carry emotions. She is definitely not an ordinary person. This kind of temperament is unconsciously formed over thousands of years. She is either rich or noble. Elder Huang reminded with a smile. Tian Mushuan's expression gradually turned cold. He stared at Emperor Ye's eyes and swallowed his saliva. He clenched his fists, somewhat unwilling. "I must have this woman," Tian Mushuan coldly said. "Young master, you might as well let the master investigate. If an Eternal's child inadvertently fell into the cycle of reincarnation, we might as well give them a favor and propose marriage. We might even be able to marry an Eternal. If not, then wouldn't young master feel even less burdened?" Elder Huang laughed. Tian Mushuan nodded. He felt that this made sense. He turned to the many female cultivators in the corridor and said, "Invite this girl to the west wing." After saying that, Tian Mushuan looked down at Emperor Yi and elegantly said, "Girl, please rest first. It's better not to run around. The 14th district is not the same as the previous districts. There are dream beasts in this district that specialize in eating souls. They even eat the flesh and blood of inspectors. If you want to leave, I will have someone send you off later." Emperor Yi looked up at Tian Mushuan. Although she had lost her memories and most of her thoughts, she was still very disgusted with this person. She always felt that this person was hiding a knife behind a smile and had bad intentions. However, she still had some wisdom. She didn't say anything and just nodded. Tian Mushuan quickly left the courtyard and went straight to the main hall. In the main hall sat a dignified old man. He was like an emperor. The order of reincarnation was changed by his will. His cultivation was terrifyingly high. He was the 14th district's reincarnation city lord, Tian Mushuan sovereign. He was the overlord of the 14th district. His words and actions were not disobeyed. "Father, I've found the perfect soul. She might be able to help me become eternal, but from her words and actions, she's either rich or noble. Her origin isn't simple. Can you help me investigate this person's origin?" Tian Mushuan asked respectfully. The heavenly cleansing emperor's divine sense swept across the main hall and looked down at Emperor Yi, who was in the west wing of the courtyard. He could not help but nod and say, "Indeed, a very perfect soul. It's a pity that your cultivation is a little lacking. If you had reached the realm of a realm master before you fell, even I would be tempted." Tian Mushuan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He was really afraid that his father would steal his woman. A ray of reincarnation light enveloped Emperor Yi and quickly reversed the order of reincarnation. Emperor Ye's origin was clearly investigated. When Tian Mushuan's sovereign saw Yi Qinghan, he directly turned him upside down. When he saw Yi Qinghan massacring a world, his eyes twitched and the corner of his mouth rose. What a ruthless human! Tian Mushuan's sovereign clenched his fists and became vigilant. After all, Yi Qinghan was too young and his cultivation was too exaggerated. Most importantly, he was too ruthless. It made his hair stand on end. It's the wife of a small world's world lord. According to the layout of this place, she should be from the land of sinners. He won't be able to cause any waves. He won't be able to enter the eternal world, let alone become an eternal. After a long time, Tian Mushuan's sovereign was reassured by Tian Mushuan's words. Tian Mushuan was incomparably excited. Just as he was about to leave, he bumped into a very enchanting and beautiful woman. Her body was made of flesh and blood. Chapter 1615. The girl was very young and had a devilish figure. Her face carried a hint of coquettishness. She wore revealing clothes and walked with a trembling gait. Even Tian Muxuan's nose twitched as he peeked at her. The girl rolled her eyes at Tian Muxuan and then turned to Tian Muxuan and said coquettishly, "Father, Jiao is bored to death. Send a few experts to accompany me to hunt dream beasts." Only Tian Muxuan's half-sister, Tian Mujiao, dared to act coquettishly in front of Tian Muxuan. This girl was a typical rich young miss, rude and unreasonable. She had the bad temper of a young miss and had developed it. Tian Muxuan was lustful towards her but didn't have the guts to do so. He didn't want to provoke this girl. Tian Muxuan's dignified face revealed a hint of doting. He smiled and said, "Good daughter, if you want to hunt dream beasts, then I'll send one of the strongest heaven-suppressing guards to you. Which team will you choose?" "Thank you, father. I want the third team. The first and second teams will naturally protect your safety. You are much more important than me," Tian Mujiao said softly. She was very good with words. No wonder she was loved. "Ah, the third team is enough to protect you. The team leader is a sector lord. As long as you don't encounter a large group of dream beasts, it will be enough to protect you." Tian Muxuan was in a good mood. He waved his hand and handed over a token. He said to Tian Mujiao, "Take it. Let the team leader of the third team, Xiao Zhu, bring some people to accompany you." "Thank you, father." Tian Mujiao took the token and ran out of the hall. Tian Muxuan's eyes flashed with jealousy when he saw Tian Mujiao gaining so much power. However, he didn't dare to say anything. He bowed slightly and left the hall. Tian Muxuan returned to his courtyard. His eyes flashed as he muttered unwillingly, "I feel sorry for that bitch. Heaven-suppressing guards, let alone a team leader, even a normal guard wouldn't be willing to be mobilized by me. Yet they gave the entire third team to that bitch Tian Mujiao. How am I inferior to her? Young master, she's just a young miss. There's no need to lower yourself to her level. You are the inheritor of the city lord. Let her be arrogant for a while. If you have the chance to become immortal, why do you need to look at other people's faces?" At this moment, Elder Huang walked out and comforted. "Right now, I'm also a low-level sector lord. If this perfect soul cultivator is willing to dual cultivate with me, I'll definitely be able to reach high-level sector lord or even the pinnacle." At that time, Tian Muxuan grinned coldly, causing others to shiver. Hard work pays off. As long as you are patient, even if it takes 3 to 5 years, you will definitely be able to make this perfect soul fall in love with you. Remember, don't use force on this kind of soul, and don't even think about taming it. Otherwise, all your efforts will be wasted, Elder Huang reminded. At this time, outside the city, Tian Mujiao was riding a tamed beast. She was accompanied by 10 masters, all of whom were top-notch masters. Just like the group of people from the insane sect, they all had bodies of flesh and blood. They had a natural advantage in hell reincarnation. The inspector did not dare to fight against them. The leader, Xiao Zhu, was a sector lord low-level with rich battle experience. He might even be stronger than Tian Muxian. He had an imposing appearance, a divine sword in his hand, and a divine crossbow on his body. He was as handsome as jade, and even Tian Mujiao kept sizing him up from the corner of her eyes. Drive, drive, drive. Tian Mujiao rushed into the distance under the protection of the 10 heaven-suppressing guards to hunt dream beasts. Dream beasts, soul cultivators, were 4-legged beasts. They were creatures that could make humans and souls enter dreams. As long as one entered the dream beast dreamland, they could devour the souls, flesh, and origin of all living things. Its speed far exceeded the inspector's, and its skin was as tough as steel. It was hard to penetrate its defense. They were rushing towards the official road. Around them were mountains and rivers. There were many hell creatures, and it was much more lively than the 9th district. The order here was also much stronger, and the creatures that were born were even more terrifying. Their food was basically souls. Very few of them would eat the inspectors, except for dream beasts. At this time, Yi Qinghan had just arrived at the 14th district. After deducing that the 3 inspectors had entered the district, He brought the divine bird into the 14th district. Looking at the scenery of the 14th district, it was majestic and vast. Some cylindrical buildings stood tall like fortresses. Almost every 1,000 miles, there would be such a building. Yi Qinghan could not help but wonder how hell could have so many humans with flesh and blood bodies. Roared just as Yi Qinghan was in a daze, a dream beast tore through time and space. It swept up sand and dust as it charged in front of Yi Qinghan. Its sharp claws tore at Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan was shocked and immediately retreated a few steps. He waved his hand and slapped the dream beast's head. Bang! The dream beast fiercely fell to the ground and crawled up pathetically. It was like a big cat, but its size was the same as a tiger. Its eyes were deep and its teeth were sinister. It glared at Yi Qinghan. It did not expect a soul body to be able to counterattack. What the hell is this? Yi Qinghan looked at the dream beast in astonishment. He did not know that it was a talented soul cultivator that could make powerful souls fall into a dreamland and be eaten alive. Roar! The dream beast growled and a divine light flashed from its eyes. It rushed into Yi Qinghan's eyes. Yi Qinghan's body trembled. He realized that the scene in front of him had changed. It was no longer a dream beast, but Emperor Ye's soul body waving at him. "Master, save me!" Emperor Ye's figure was struggling. His face was distorted with fear as he waved his hands for help. Yi Qinghan's body trembled. If not for his soul being extremely strong, he would have been easily devoured by the dream beast. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and slashed at the emperor in front of him. Roda bang! The dream beast was caught off guard and was sent flying dozens of meters by Yi Qinghan's blade. It landed heavily on the ground and screamed. It struggled to get up and prepared to escape. Shwa! Yi Qinghan's speed was extremely fast. His figure flashed and blocked the dream beast's path. His hand turned into a berserk state and pressed down on the dream beast's neck. The cold light was filled with a sinister killing intent. The dream beast lost at a loss. It had treated souls as food for so many years and had underestimated Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, it would not have lost so badly. It did not even have the chance to escape. Looking at Yi Qinghan's eyes, it lay on the ground in fear and bowed its head in submission. "What the hell is this? I think I saw my little money grubber just now," the divine bird said foolishly. "I saw my son too. It should be a soul-type creature that mainly eats souls." Yi Qinghan stepped on the dream beast's back and said coldly, "Take me to the largest samsara city. If you dare to go against my will again, I will kill you." The dream beast trembled and did not dare to disobey. It carried Yi Qinghan and rushed into the depths of the city. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan stood on the dream beast's back like lightning. In the blink of an eye, he had traveled thousands of miles. Roar! The dream beast let out a low roar. Wherever it went, the soul energy would let out shrill cries and flee in all directions. However, the dream beast was not interested in the scattered energy at all. It would only devour it when it was very hungry. It was only interested in complete souls and the patrol's flesh and blood. Chapter 16:16. Wooda whoosh whoosh whoosh. The wind howled, rising from the void, and finally reaching its end. The vast and boundless 14th district was filled with scattered soul energy. Complete soul bodies were either in groups or hidden in pillar-like cylindrical buildings. Yi Qinghan rode the dream beast at an extremely fast speed. His soul body could barely withstand the ravaging winds. All he could do was lie on the dream beast's back and use the dream beast's body to block the winds. As fast as lightning, 1,000 miles passed in an instant. Yi Qinghan didn't know how far this place was from the Samsara main city. The dream beast ran for a day and passed by hundreds of bunkers and round buildings. He saw some dream beasts and powerful creatures, but they were all defeated by Yi Qinghan. Boom boom boom. The dream beast ran wildly, and forests and mountains flew backward. 30,000 miles away, Tian Mujiao and the Heaven Suppressor entered a mountain range. They took out their divine crossbows and sharp swords, preparing to hunt dream beasts. The demon cores of dream beasts were the most valuable. 10 demon cores could allow a pseudo-sector lord to advance to the intermediate level. 100 demon cores could allow one to advance to the advanced level. Dream beasts were considered the overlords of the infernal realm. Even the patrol officers didn't dare to provoke them. They only knew how to defend themselves and wouldn't take the initiative to attack. This wasn't only because they were powerful, but also because there were too many of them. What Yi Qinghan encountered was just a drop in the ocean. This route led to the main city, so there were very few patrol officers and even fewer spirit bodies. Dream beasts were very smart and rarely hunted spirit bodies or patrol officers on this route. The area where Tian Mujiao and the others were at had the most dream beasts. There were easily dozens of dream beasts, and at most, hundreds of them. The divine crossbow was aimed at a valley where many dream beasts gathered. They were resting and did not notice Tian Mujiao and the others. After all, Xiao Zhu's heaven suppressor was too powerful. Xiao Zhu was expressionless. He held the divine crossbow and stared at Tian Mujiao. He reminded her, there are at least 1,000 dream beasts here, and more than half of them are adults. We shouldn't have chosen this place as a hunting ground. Princess, let's retreat. I don't care. Anyway, today I will kill all the dream beasts here and take their demon cores to reach sector lord level. Brother Xiao Zhu, you have to help me. Tian Mu said coquettishly, not allowing Xiao Zhu to leave. Tian Mujiao did not know if she was dead or alive, but the heaven-suppressing guardians knew that these 11 people would not even be left of them once they angered the dream beasts. They were all frightened and looked at Xiao Zhu, hoping that she could disobey the order. However, Xiao Zhu understood how important Tianmu Jiao was to the Tianmu king. She had disobeyed him this time. The lightest punishment would be death, while the most severe punishment would be the extermination of her entire family. Even her soul would not be able to escape. Xiao Zhu took a deep breath and aimed her crossbow at a powerful dream beast. Prepare to attack. Kill the adult dream beasts first. Leave the rest for now. Don't make eye contact with the dream beast. Maintain your original state of mind. Don't be distracted. Don't enter the dream. 11 arrows were aimed at 11 adult dream beasts. The one that Xiao Zhu was aiming at was the clan leader of the dream beasts. Its cultivation level was not lower than Xiao Zhu's. This arrow was not aimed to kill it, but to injure it severely. Otherwise, they would be in danger. In 3 breaths, attack together. 1 breath. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 11 arrows pierced through the void and shot into the valley from the mountain peak. Some arrows pierced through the dream beasts and shot into the mountain rocks. Some arrows were dodged. Bang, bang, bang. The dream beasts were in chaos. Those that were shot were knocked away by the arrows. A large group of dream beasts looked up at the mountain peak angrily. They bared their teeth and turned into lightning to attack. Xiao Zhu's arrow contained supreme power. It shook the entire valley. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of the leader of the dream beasts. The leader of the dream beasts seemed to be alerted. It tilted its head and the arrow pierced through its neck. It pierced through the valley and into the depths of the ground. This arrow had been rendered useless. Roar, roar, roar. The leader of the dream beasts leaped up and roared. A large group of dream beasts rushed to the mountain peak and pounced on Xiao Zhu and the rest. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Xiao Zhu's expression did not change. She took out 3 arrows and shot through the air. 3 adult dream beasts were shot. The dream beasts screamed in pain. Their blood stained the sky and they fell from the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The other 9 heaven-suppressing guardians cooperated and shot at the dream beasts that rushed up from the valley. Tian Mujiao was not afraid. Instead, she shouted excitedly. She felt that the heaven-suppressing guardians could destroy all enemies. She did not have to do anything. Xiao Zhu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. The rest of the heaven-suppressing guardians were even more terrified. They started to retreat slowly and kept shooting arrows. Shui Zai, take the princess and retreat. Xiao Zhu stared at the leader of the dream beasts attacking personally. It shuttled through the ravines and the arrows could not catch up to it. She was shocked and quickly ordered the heaven-suppressing guardians to retreat. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The heaven-suppressing guardians retreated as they fought. They killed more than 70 adult dream beasts. It was a good harvest. If it were other patrol envoys, it would be difficult to kill one. However, they had angered the dream beasts. They started to circle around and attack from all directions. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The dream beasts shuttled through the ravines. They roared to the sky and asked for help from other races. More and more dream beasts were coming. Xiao Zhu knew it was over. She was lucky to be able to escape this time. She immediately ordered, "Retreat! Run towards the official road." "Why are we retreating? There are so many dream beasts. Kill them all. I want the demon cores. You have to listen to my orders. If not, I will ask my father to kill you all." Tian Mujiao scolded angrily. Xiao Zhu was sweating profusely. He quickly reminded her, "Princess, we are going to be surrounded by the dream beasts. If we don't leave now, we will die here. You are the heaven-suppressing guardians. Xiao Zhu, I have overestimated you." Tian Mujiao sneered. The 10 heaven-suppressing guardians were furious. However, they did not dare to show it. They could only continue to attack and change their location to find a way to escape. "My princess, these are dream beasts. If they were so easy to kill, how could there be so many of them? We are too few in number. We can only hunt for lone dream beasts. We are asking for death by attacking their race." Xiao Zhu smiled bitterly. He was helpless. This unruly princess was too hard to please. He wanted to provoke the dream beasts to scare her. However, she did not know what was good for her. "Trash! All of you are trash!" Tian Mujiao scolded angrily. As more and more dream beasts appeared and attacked from all directions, she finally panicked. Xiao Zhu brought Tian Mujiao and ran towards the official road. The 9 heaven-suppressing guardians brought up the rear. They pulled out their swords and killed dream beasts one after another. Blood flowed like a river and corpses were everywhere. However, they were powerless to obtain the demon cores. The dream beast leader came from afar. Its sharp claws shattered the divine weapons. Its fangs bit the neck of a heaven-suppressing guardian. The heaven-suppressing guardian's hand and neck were bitten off. His flesh and blood were devoured. His soul did not escape either. It was swallowed into the stomach of the dream beast leader. Xiao Zhu threw Tian Mujiao to a heaven-suppressing guardian and shouted to the other heaven-suppressing guardians, "Bring the princess and run towards the official road. I will cover the rear." The divine sword was unsheathed. The sword ray swept across. Xiao Zhu's strength was definitely one of the best amongst the beginner sector lords. The sword ray tore through the mountain rocks and repelled the dream beasts. The divine sword itself slashed towards the dream beast leader. On a faraway mountain, Yi Qinghan stood at the peak and looked down at the battlefield. He realized that the dream beasts were so exaggerated. They were like huge ferocious tigers, pouncing towards their prey. Even the high-ranking patrol inspectors were their prey. These creatures were indeed terrifying. Chapter 16-17. Close to 1,000 dream beasts surrounded the heaven-suppressing guardians and Tian Mujiao. The heaven-suppressing guardians had lost 4 of their members, leaving only 6 of them and Tian Mujiao. Tian Mujiao was finally scared. She screamed and grabbed onto Xiao Zhu, refusing to let go. Xiao Zhu's armor was torn apart by the dream beasts. He held onto Tian Mujiao with one hand and held onto his sword with the other. The dream beasts retreated, and his eyes turned red. "Protect the princess and leave." Xiao Zhu roared and forced the leader of the dream beasts to retreat, opening a path for the other 5 heaven-suppressing guardians. He then pushed Tian Mujiao to the rest and stayed behind. There were so many dream beasts that they formed a circle again. "Ah, Xiao Zhu, save me!" Tian Mujiao screamed and trembled. The dream beasts did not like her beauty. As long as she could not escape today, she would become their food. Xiao Zhu was held back by the leader of the dream beasts and could not save her. Pucci, another heaven-suppressing guardian, was killed by the dream beasts. The situation was dangerous. This team could be wiped out at any time. Yi Qinghan stood on the peak and looked down at the battlefield. He speculated, these patrol envoys are very powerful. They are probably not ordinary people. The woman they are protecting must be an important person in Samsara city. We can go and save her and follow her into the city. Once we save Xiao Zhu, we can leave. Even if we offend the Castellan, he can't do anything to us after we leave the 14th district. The divine bird nodded. This was the easiest way to break into Samsara city. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yi Qinghan rode on the dream beast and rushed down from the peak. He was like a dragon pouncing on a tiger. The dream beast roared in anger. There was fear in its eyes. However, it was suppressed by Yi Qinghan and had to rush over. The leader of the dream beasts noticed the dream beast and roared. Its aura rushed to the sky. The dream beast under Yi Qinghan's feet stopped breathing and fell from the sky. Whoosh, Yi Qinghan jumped and descended from the sky. He formed a seal with his palms and the record of Yin Yang appeared above his head. Heaven and earth are limitless. Yin and Yang borrow power. Talisman soldiers. Rule the world. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, hua hua hua. Tens of thousands of rainbows pierced through the heavens and the earth, attacking every dream beast at the same time. They launched an indiscriminate attack. The Yin-Yang profound record rolled the melody of hell. It was gloomy but magnificent, and the killing intent was heroic. Bang bang bang. The 10,000 talisman soldiers struck close to 1,000 dream beasts at the same time. Although they were unable to heavily injure them, they were able to force them back, temporarily saving the lives of Tian Mujiao and the others. Yi Qinghan was like a god descending from the heavens as he looked down on everyone and the dream beast in his soul form. He was expressionless as he held the Yin-Yang mystic record in his hand. With a twitch of his fingertips, the Yin-Yang mystic record spun around his fingertips with a monstrous pressure. Yi Qinghan stared at the leader of the dream beasts and said in a low voice, "Dream beasts are intelligent creatures. I hope you won't disappoint me and bring your people away from here." However, the dream beasts had suffered heavy casualties. How could they listen to Yi Qinghan? The leader roared and bared its teeth as it approached. A large group of dream beasts approached, scaring Tian Mujiao into screaming. She gave up on the heaven-suppressing guard's protection and ran to Yi Qinghan's back. She begged, "Esteemed one, my father is the heavenly cleansing emperor. As long as you save me, my father will definitely repay you greatly." Tian Mujiao looked at Yi Qinghan's back. She only knew that he was an expert and did not realize that he was a soul form. Yi Qinghan turned his head slightly and looked down at Tian Mujiao. The majesty in his eyes was suffocating. Tian Mujiao sucked in a breath of cold air. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. She had never seen or heard of such a gaze and such a face. Although her father, the heavenly cleansing emperor, was majestic and a man of his word, he did not have Yi Qinghan's domineering aura. In terms of appearance, he could instantly defeat all the men she had seen. For a soul form to have such an aura, he might be the only one in the world. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up slightly, revealing a smile that was 30% evil and 70% domineering. He patted Tian Mujiao's shoulder and said in a very magnetic voice, "Don't worry. With me here, even if there are twice as many dream beasts, they won't be able to hurt you." This voice carried the prestige of the heavens. It was very convincing. Tian Mujiao submitted on the spot. She nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Her eyes shone, afraid that she would cause Yi Qinghan to be displeased. Damn, this handsome man trick. The divine bird was speechless. However, its wings were holding on to Bai Zai's soul, so it did not dare to make any movements. Yi Qinghan wanted to use the handsome man trick. Not only did he want to use Tian Mujiao to enter the city, but he also wanted to use her to leave and return to the human world. This woman was too important. Xiao Zhu was a little cautious. She held her sword and retreated behind Yi Qinghan. She protected Tian Mujiao and said, "Princess, this person's background is unknown. Let me escort you away first." "Go away. If it wasn't for this fellow cultivator protecting me, I would have been dead. Wait for my father's punishment." Tian Mujiao scolded angrily. Tian Mujiao shook off Xiao Zhu's arm and reached out to grab Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's face was full of smiles as he gave her face and flattered her. This princess is indeed a natural beauty. In terms of appearance and figure, you are absolutely a top-notch existence. This little one was just passing by and was instantly subdued. I felt that it would be a waste to let the dream beast eat you, so I overestimated myself and made a move. I hope that your highness won't mind. Ha, you really know how to talk. I'm shy. You are the most handsome man I've ever seen. Tian Mujiao stomped her foot and said coquettishly. The divine bird almost vomited. If it did not need Tian Mujiao, it would have scolded him. So fucking coquettish. Now that I think about it, Zi Xian, Medusa, Long Ziyue, and Lady Dongqin beside you, they're all so beautiful. Moreover, they're so pure and unpretentious. The divine bird pretended to vomit as it transmitted its voice. Yi Qinghan did not answer. He controlled the record of yin yang to intimidate the dream beast. But from the looks of it, that figure, those breasts. Sleeping with them is not a bad thing. The divine bird continued to nag. Xiao Zhu looked at Yi Qinghan and realized that he was indeed different. He was a spirit but had memories and intelligence. She was confused and asked, "Are you from the messengers? This is the record of yin yang. Are you the messenger of the yin yang Xian race?" "That's right. I am the messenger of yin yang. I am here to inspect the sinner's land. I came across this place and helped you." Yi Qinghan replied calmly. Xiao Zhu heaved a sigh of relief. She cupped her hands and said, "Thank you for your help. Otherwise, I would not be able to explain myself. How about we work together to escort the princess back to the city?" "No problem." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He infused his yin-yang Xian energy into the record of yin-yang. The record flew into the sky and shot out rays of divine light. It covered 100 miles and trapped all the dream beasts within. The record of yin-yang descended and suppressed everything. The dream beasts trembled. The leader of the dream beasts was shocked. It roared and led the rest of the dream beasts to escape into the valley, leaving behind the heaven-suppressing guardians and the overjoyed Tian Mujiao. Chapter 16-18. The dream beasts fled, leaving behind the 6 heaven-suppressing guardians and Tian Mujiao. Yi Qinghan's smile was mesmerizing, but it sent chills down Xiao Zhu's spine. "I'm still in the middle of a mission, beautiful princess. You're too beautiful for such dangerous training. It would be a great loss to the world if you hurt your beautiful face. So, please follow these lords back to the city." "I won't send you off," Yi Qinghan said with a smile. "Please don't. I don't know your name yet. I haven't repaid you for saving my life. Besides, I'm still in danger. You have to send me back to the city. I'll ask my father to reward you." Tian Mujiao said coquettishly. "Forget it. I don't dare to ask for rewards. Emissaries have to take the official road to enter hell. This is obviously not the official road. Your father is the enforcer of hell. If he knows that I'm in the city, won't they fight?" Yi Qinghan declined with a smile. "That's true. The 12 emissaries are not allowed to interfere with the order of hell. They can only take the official road. If the city lord knows, there will be trouble," Xiao Zhu reminded in a low voice. But who was Tian Mujiao? Even 10 unruly ladies couldn't compare to her. If she wanted something, even the heavenly king couldn't stop her. Tian Mujiao glared at Xiao Zhu and the others and said, "I want to repay the young master. At least, I'll treat him to a meal. So, I'll bring him into the city. If any of you dare to tell my father or anyone else, I'll destroy your souls. You'll never be reincarnated." Xiao Zhu and the others' faces changed. Who is Tian Mujiao? She was loved. If she was angry, the heavenly cleansing emperor would love her too. "We wouldn't dare. Princess, we wouldn't dare to betray you," the heaven-suppressing guardian said. Xiao Zhu smiled bitterly. He couldn't offend Tian Mujiao, but he didn't dare to hide it from the heavenly cleansing emperor. He said, "Princess, why don't you send us out for a mission when we're outside the city? We won't have to tell the city lord about this if we miss the time. This matter will be left unsettled. Also, we can prevent the identity of this emissary from being exposed." Tian Mujiao's eyes flashed. She nodded repeatedly, but she thought to herself, it would be best if you all died outside. After the discussion, Yi Qinghan briefly introduced himself and followed the group to Samsara City under the pseudonym of Yinyang Xuanzi. Bai Xiaoxing's soul was protected under the wings of the divine bird. The divine bird remained motionless, trying not to attract the attention of others. It was as if it was transparent, sticking close to Yi Qinghan's clothes. The group quickly cleaned up the battlefield and picked up some dream beast corpses. After taking away the demon cores, Yi Qinghan put on the Heaven Suppressor's uniform and rushed to Reincarnation City with the others. A few days later, the group of 7 arrived at a slightly larger circular castle. After a simple replenishment, they continued on their journey. When they were thousands of miles away from the Samsara City, the earth suddenly shook. A large number of intact souls fled from afar as if they were besieged by dream beasts. It's the sound of the inspector's mount. Young Master Xian must be in a bad mood and came out to vent. Xiao Zhu's eyebrows twitched. He crossed the mountain and looked into the distance. He saw a large number of inspectors riding on tamed beasts outside a circular castle. They waved their hands and shattered the intact souls, turning them into energy and scattering around. Yi Qinghan frowned and asked, "Isn't this against the order of Samsara?" The 14th district. Our Tianmu family is the order of Samsara. But this bastard is inhumane. Brother Yinyang, please don't misunderstand. The rest of the Tianmu family would never do this. Tianmu Jiao hurriedly explained in order to leave a good impression on Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan stared at the circular castle and was a little angry. These souls that entered the 14th district were definitely the most powerful people when they were alive. Anyone could die. If the order of Samsara was disrupted like this, who wouldn't be afraid? Many people from the crazy sect died. The vast wilderness was almost wiped out. The dragon of resentment was dead. It would definitely enter the 14th district. If it was also disrupted, wouldn't its soul be in danger? Those eternal sovereigns must have known what happened in the 14th district. But they were too high up to care. The others wanted to care, but they were powerless, let alone united. They didn't know that the 14th district was like this. If the order of the 14th district is so bad and the Castellan is like this, I'm afraid the other districts won't be any better. Yi Qinghan whispered to himself. Seeing Yi Qinghan's expression change slightly, Xiao Zhu smiled and explained, "Brother Yinyang, you don't have to be so angry. The eternal sovereigns allowed this to happen to maintain the balance. Whether it's the small worlds or the eternal world, they don't need so many people to live a second life. 1 in a million is already a lot. If so many people live a second life, wouldn't it threaten the rule of some people? One's rule was the most important. Destroying the order was also another kind of order. So that's how it is." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. It seemed that the people who had died in the great wilderness no longer existed. Their soul energies had recombined and formed new bodies. Death meant that they had disappeared forever. Those who could live a second life were really too few. "Brother Yinyang, let's go into the city. This Tianmu Xuan is a bastard. He often vents his anger on the souls and the patrol. I don't want to talk to him. I won't disturb him. I don't want to expose your identity." Tianmu Jiao pulled Yi Qinghan's arm and purposely rubbed her towering peaks. Yi Qinghan's purpose was to find Emperor Yi. He didn't want to meddle in other people's business. However, he was curious as to what could make Tianmu Xuan so angry. He asked, "Why is Tianmu Xuan so angry?" Xiao Zhu might not know, but Tianmu Jiao was a troublemaker. She said as she walked, "This guy's talent is not good enough. He wants to take the side door and find a woman with a perfect soul. He probably didn't find one, so he came here to vent his anger." Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He immediately connected this matter with Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi was taken away by the people from the 14th district. It was obvious that Tianmu Xuan had taken him away. But if he had captured Emperor Yi, why was he so angry? He did find a person with a perfect soul before. However, even after crossing the bridge of helplessness and the cliff of reincarnation, she still had a certain level of intelligence. She didn't like him at all. He wanted to force her, but the soul self-destructed and almost destroyed him. Since then, his mood changed drastically. He became very vicious. He would easily slaughter the souls in a castle. He's even scarier than a dream beast. Tian Mujiao explained. Yi Qinghan let out a breath. He could guess why Tian Mushuan was so angry. It must be because Emperor Yi didn't want to dual cultivate with him. That was why he came out to vent his anger. Chapter 1619. Yi Qinghan and the others crossed the mountains and passed by the circular castle in a low-key manner. They were ready to leave, but the high-profile Tian Mushuan was not willing to do so. Or rather, he was only here for Tian Mujiao. Tian Mushuan had an evil look on his face. He stepped out of the tower and led several hundred patrolling envoys with crossbows in their hands. He stared at Tian Mujiao coldly. Deep in his eyes was a thick greed, but on the surface, he looked very doting. Isn't this little sister? You've returned from hunting? Why are there only 7 of the 10 sky protectors left? Pray, you didn't catch a single one? Tian Mushuan glanced around. He did not care about the sky protectors. He only wanted to provoke Tian Mujiao. Yo, big brother Xian, you're really something. You actually entered a small city tower to kill people to vent your anger. I wonder which beauty has angered you this time? Tian Mujiao mocked very impolitely. Phew, Tian Mushuan stared at Tian Mujiao. A sinister look flashed in his eyes, but it was only for a moment. He shrugged and replied, Don't you always do this kind of thing? Nonsense. I'm not as bored as you. Tian Mujiao immediately denied. She was afraid that she would make Yi Qinghan unhappy. She glanced at Yi Qinghan from the corner of her eyes, but she hid it well. She quickly shifted her gaze and said to Xiao Zhu, let's go back. We don't need to lower ourselves to his level. After that, Tian Mujiao waved her hand and led Xiao Zhu and the others out of the gate. Tian Mushuan stared at Yi Qinghan and the others' backs. He was puzzled. He said to himself, according to Tian Mujiao's personality, she should be competing with me to see who can kill more. Why did she suddenly change her personality today? Snap. Tian Mushuan snapped his fingers and said to a patrol envoy beside him, Send a few people to follow her. See what she's up to. Don't get too close. If you offend her, even I can't protect you. Yes, young master. The patrol envoy lowered his head and said, Rustle, rustle, rustle. More than 10 patrol envoys followed Yi Qinghan's group from a distance of about 1 kilometer. Even the captain of the heaven-suppressing guardians couldn't use his divine sense to cover a distance of 2 kilometers in hell. This was the best distance. He could see them, but his divine sense couldn't touch them. Even if he discovered that someone was following them, he could say that they were just passing by. Yi Qinghan and Tian Mujiao quickly left. Not far away from Samsara City, Yi Qinghan finally said, Some patrol envoys are following us. Let sister to enter the city first and then leave, or Tian Mushuan will too. Tian Mujiao was very obedient towards Yi Qinghan. She immediately smiled and said, I'll listen to brother Yin Yang. The 8 of them quickly entered the city gate. Tian Mujiao and Yi Qinghan continued to venture deeper while Xiao Zhu led the 5 heaven protectors into a garden and disappeared quickly. However, Xiao Zhu left Samsara City from behind them without a sound. The 10 patrol envoys ran all the way. When they passed by a small path beside a lake, they were stopped by Tian Mujiao and Yi Qinghan. Tian Mujiao's face was cold. She stared at the patrol envoys and sneered, You are the first group to follow me. You have guts. The 10 patrol envoys were so scared that they kneeled on the ground. They did not dare to raise their heads. They did not have the chance to notice that Yi Qinghan was a soul. Princess, please spare us. We were just passing by. The patrol envoys kowtowed and begged. They did not dare to look at Tian Mujiao. I am in a good mood today. I will not argue with you. Now kneel here and do not raise your heads. You are not allowed to get up for 2 hours. Otherwise, I will ask my father to feed you to the dream beast. Tian Mujiao scolded lightly. She had a playful smile on her face. She looked like she was just having fun and not a vicious princess. These patrol envoys did not dare to say anything else. They could only kneel on the small path. They did not dare to raise their heads or speak. Yi Qinghan smiled. He pulled Tian Mujiao and quickly left the small path. Princess is so cute. Whoever is lucky enough to marry you must be very lucky. Yi Qinghan smiled. Inyang Gij, you are teasing me again. In the entire 14th district, who dares to treat me sincerely? It is all for the sake of flattery. It is not fun at all. Tian Mujiao pretended to be pitiful as she replied. That is because they are blind. However, hell is not as fun as the human world. If you have time, I can bring you there for a walk. Yi Qinghan smiled and patted Tian Mujiao's head. He was like a doting older brother next door. Tian Mujiao's body trembled. She had never felt this kind of feeling before. She had already reached the point of blind worship and adoration for Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He then asked curiously, that Tian Muxuan just now is your older brother? Why did I feel that he was hostile towards you? Moreover, there was clearly greed and killing intent in his eyes. Did he want to kill you? Tian Mujiao did not know that this was Yi Qinghan's little scheme. She immediately said angrily, that bastard. Just because daddy dotes on me, he bears a grudge against me. Moreover, I am as beautiful as a flower and have the same father as him. He often touches me, bullies me, and oppresses me. It is a pity that I am a weak girl and have no way to resist. Tian Mujiao looked very pitiful at this moment. If the city's patrolling officers saw this, they would definitely think that she was a fake. After Yi Qinghan heard this, he pretended to be angry and said, this bastard actually dares to bully a beautiful girl. He won't even let off his own sister. I will help you teach this bastard a lesson. Tian Mujiao was overjoyed when she heard this. She took the opportunity to lie in Yi Qinghan's arms. How could she have the heart to doubt him due to her blind love? I will help you play with this Tian Muxuan. Where is his residence? I have something here. As long as he touches it, his entire body will fester and his face will become sinister, turning him into an ugly monster. Hee, we will sneak into his bedroom and put the thing in his bedroom. Yi Qinghan said coldly, he offended my little beauty. This time, I will teach him a good lesson. Tian Mujiao was overjoyed. She thought that Yi Qinghan was really angry because of her beauty. She immediately nodded and said, thank you, big brother Yin Yang. I will bring you there. After saying this, the two of them quickly entered the city lord's mansion. Yi Qinghan's soul was extremely powerful. He avoided the patrolling officers and entered Tian Muxuan's bedroom. Shua. Yi Qinghan scattered a ray of light onto the bed. Tian Mujiao excitedly clapped her hands, preparing to pull Yi Qinghan away. But Yi Qinghan's goal in entering this place was not to play with Tian Muxuan, but to take away Emperor Ye's soul. Wait, Tian Muxuan left in such a flustered and exasperated manner. He must have found another perfect soul expert. Say, if we steal this soul, do you think he will die from anger? Yi Qinghan whispered into Tian Mujiao's ear with a smile. He offended my family's beauty. I will make him suffer the consequences. Let's continue looking. Perhaps we will find something. Chapter 1620. Tian Mujiao didn't know what Yi Qinghan's goal was and still obeyed. Until now, she still thought that Yi Qinghan was helping her teach Tian Muxuan a lesson. At this moment, she was in high spirits and gloating as she followed Yi Qinghan to search the courtyard. The courtyard wasn't too big. The two strolled to the west wing and entered. They discovered that there were actually several high-ranking patrol envoys guarding the room. When their eyes met, they knew that there was definitely a problem. Think of a way to lure them away. I will be in charge of destroying that person with a perfect soul. When the time comes, there will be no evidence. Even if Tian Muxuan suspects something, he won't be able to find any evidence. Yi Qinghan transmitted his voice. Tian Mujiao looked excitedly at those patrol envoys. Their strength wasn't weak. It wasn't realistic to try to sneak in silently. She could only lure them away. In order to make Yi Qinghan feel that she was capable, she immediately volunteered and walked over from the shadows. Cough cough, you guys come over here. Come with me to move some things. Tian Mujiao pointed at the patrol envoys and said arrogantly. The patrol envoys were stunned. They didn't expect this unruly princess to come here to find help. Princess, we are guarding a criminal. The leader of the patrol envoys smiled bitterly. What? This princess can't command you? Is it so difficult for you to move things? Or do you only listen to my brother and don't even listen to my father? Tian Mujiao's attitude turned cold as she questioned murderously. We don't dare, we don't dare. The leader of the patrol envoys broke out in cold sweat. He signaled to the other patrol envoys with his eyes and said respectfully to Tian Mujiao, why don't you let these subordinates go with you and I will stay behind to carry out the mission? If this lady wants to order you guys around, you don't have to come. I will do it myself. When my father asks me later, I will say that you guys are high and mighty. How would this lady dare to ask you to do anything? Killing intent flashed through Tian Mujiao's eyes as she flicked her sleeves and left. Those patrol envoys were so frightened by Tian Mujiao's gaze that their hands trembled. They hurriedly rushed over and said, Princess, please spare us. How would we dare to not listen to your orders? But you should know that if we go with you and young master returns and finds out, he will definitely kill us. If I don't tell him, if you don't tell him, who will tell him? Besides, you guys can follow me in the future. I'll tell my father and he won't dare to refuse, Tian Mujiao said proudly. After saying that, Tian Mujiao forcefully took all the patrol envoys away. The entire courtyard was empty, with only a few unconscious soul bodies walking around outside. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled into a smile. His figure moved and he walked into the room. Ah, once master appears, all the beauties in the world will submit to him. Just like that, the handsome man's scheme succeeded. The divine bird laughed sinisterly. Yi Qinghan flipped his hair confidently. His arrogance soared to the heavens. He pushed open the door and took a look. Who else could it be but Emperor Yi, sitting on the bed with a frown and deep in thought? However, she didn't have any memories now, only a trace of intelligence. Emperor Yi looked at Yi Qinghan and felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity in his heart. It was a throbbing that came from the depths of his soul, so he didn't scream or resist, allowing him to come closer. Yi Qinghan excitedly held Emperor Yi's hands. He cried tears of joy and said hoarsely, My son, your soul's memories have already disappeared, but they will return sooner or later. Now, return to your energy state and merge with me. Come with me and don't make a sound. Little master, I'm the divine bird. Don't you remember? The divine bird also cried out happily. However, Emperor Yi still didn't have any memories. He felt that Yi Qinghan wouldn't harm him, so he returned to his energy state and hid in Yi Qinghan's soul with Bai Shaoxing. At that moment, a voice came from outside the courtyard. It was Tian Mushuan's voice. Yi Qinghan's aura sank, and he quickly pushed open the door and left. He blended into the ancient trees and flowers, and with a few leaps, he rushed out of the west wing. Yi Qinghan was still wearing the Sky Suppression Guard's clothes. Although he didn't have a physical body, with the Sky Suppression Guard's clothes as a disguise, normal people wouldn't be able to tell that he was a soul body. After a few turns, he returned to Tian Mujiao's courtyard. Yi Qinghan stood under the window of Tian Mujiao's room and snapped his fingers at Tian Mujiao, who was in the courtyard. Tian Mujiao was currently ordering the inspectors to move the flowers and trees from one place to another. Tian Mujiao knew that the mission was completed, so she clapped her hands and said to them, You guys can go back. I'm done here. I'll go tell my father later that you guys have done well. The inspectors thought that Tian Mujiao would really make them stay and wanted to say a few more words, but they didn't expect Tian Mujiao to burn the bridge after crossing the river. She waved her hand impatiently and said, Hurry up and go back. Otherwise, if you guys make a mistake in your mission, you'll think that I'm the one behind it. The inspectors quickly left the courtyard, but just as they stepped out of the door, a roar came from Tian Mushuan's courtyard. Tian Mushuan was about to explode in anger. He roared at the inspectors, Find Long Wang and those bastards for me. I'm going to chop them up. Where did my beauty go? If you don't find her today, I'm going to kill all of you. Tian Mushuan flipped the table and smashed the chair. He was so angry that his veins were popping out, and his eyes were red. He was about to lose his mind. At that moment, Elder Huang quickly walked over and asked with a frown, "What happened?" "That Emperor Ye's soul is gone. I don't know where the inspectors who were left behind went. But I'm going to kill them all." Tian Mushuan's entire body was trembling, and his breathing was rapid. He was unable to control himself. "What?" "Young master, don't be angry. She can't run out of Reincarnation City. Order the outer city to be under martial law. Right now, the most important thing is to find her soul." Elder Huang quickly reminded him. Right. Tian Mushuan finally reacted. He immediately said, "Elder Huang, you go order the outer city to be under martial law. I'm going to find Longguang and those bastards. They actually left the city without permission. I'm going to kill them all." Tian Mushuan was flustered and exasperated. It also revealed that his intelligence was limited. He was at a loss when faced with an emergency. In Tian Mujiao's courtyard, Yi Qinghan was laughing heartily with her. "The soul he wants has already been shattered by me. He's probably going to go crazy. I'm hiding in your room right now, so he'll definitely come to settle the score with you. But without evidence, he can't do anything to you. Then, I'll take you out of the city and explore the world," Yi Qinghan said with a grin. He was starting to kidnap this woman with limited intelligence. Leave it to me." Tian Mujiao walked out of the door with a smile. She tidied the garden and waited for Tian Mushuan to come and settle the score with her. As expected, Tian Mushuan quickly found Longguang and the other inspectors. After beating them up, he found out that they were taken away by Tian Mujiao. He immediately rushed over in a flustered and exasperated manner. "Tian Mujiao, where did you take that perfect soul to? You're unruly and willful, but don't repeatedly challenge this lord's bottom line. Otherwise, even if this matter reaches father today, I'll have to reason with you." Tian Mushuan's eyes were red as he glared at Tian Mujiao and roared. "Brother, what do you mean by that? Who took away your perfect soul? Even if you want to frame someone, you have to be clear about who you're trying to frame. This lady isn't someone you can kill just because you want to. What evidence do you have that I took her away?" Tian Mujiao angrily asked. Chapter 1621. Tian Mujiao gave tit for tat. She glared at Tian Mushuan and reached out for evidence. Tian Mushuan was so angry that he laughed instead. He said coldly, "Tian Mujiao, since you're still young, I'll tolerate you no matter how much you overstep your boundaries. But don't touch my bottom line. Give me Ren Huangye's soul, or don't blame me for telling my father everything about you." "Ha!" Tian Mujiao covered her mouth and laughed. Her big eyes were full of provocation. She was unruly and willful. Not only did she not care, but she also mocked. "I'm so scared. Go ahead if you can. Dad is cultivating in seclusion. Wake him up and let's see who he will punish first. Besides, what right do you have to say that I took away Emperor Ye's soul? I don't even know him, let alone see him." Tian Mujiao insisted that she did not take away Emperor Yi. No matter how angry Tian Mushuan was, he could do nothing to her. Tian Mushuan asked angrily, "If you didn't take away Emperor Yi, then why did you take away the people I left behind in the West Wing?" "Hey, don't accuse me. I just asked them to help me move a few pots of flowers. Besides, I was right beside them. How could I have time to take away your beauty? If you don't believe me, you can call them over and confront them. I don't have the time or motive to commit the crime. If you accuse me, let's go talk it out in front of my father." Tian Mujiao raised her eyebrows. She was used to being unruly. Except for Tian Mushuan, she really didn't care about anyone else. Not to mention that no one had something on her. Even if they did, she could turn right into wrong. Tian Mushuan trembled with anger. Seeing that Tian Mujiao insisted that it had nothing to do with her and had no evidence, he could only take a deep breath. He glanced around the courtyard and then left. After Tian Mushuan left, he mobilized a large number of inspectors from Samsara City to search the city. The city gate was also sealed by Elder Huang. Even a bird couldn't fly out. In the courtyard, Tian Mujiao looked honest. Although she was unruly and ruthless, this woman was not very scheming. In front of Yi Qinghan, she looked more innocent and cute. He, I feel happy just looking at his miserable state. Tian Mujiao pulled Yi Qinghan's arm. Her face was red as she said shyly, "Yin Yang Gij, I'll treat you to a good meal. You have to stay with me for a few days, okay?" Yi Qinghan smiled and patted Tian Mujiao's head. He pretended to be affectionate as he replied, "Let's eat at the side courtyard. I want to be alone with you. Moreover, it's very dangerous to go outside now. It's very easy to get into a conflict with Tian Muxuan. I'll listen to brother Yin Yang." Tian Mujiao was so excited that she wanted nothing more than to hug Yi Qinghan. But after falling in love with Yi Qinghan, she naturally became much more shy. Tian Mujiao asked the servants to bring some spirit fruit wine and reincarnation liquor. The two sat in her bedroom and began to drink. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the drinking to ask Tian Mujiao about hell. He learned how to leave hell and reincarnate. That sinner eternal sovereign was actually imprisoned under the Hell Pagoda in the 17th district. Not only was there the Hell Pagoda suppressing him, there was also an eternal sovereign talisman. However, Tian Mujiao had only heard of it and had never seen it before. After 3 rounds of drinking, Tian Mujiao finally let go. She began to take the initiative to attack and take as much as she wanted. She sat on Yi Qinghan's lap and rubbed Yi Qinghan's arm with her huge peaks. She stuck out her pink tongue and sent some liquor into Yi Qinghan's mouth. Yi Qinghan's body slightly stiffened, but he quickly reacted and cooperated with her flirting. He was an old hand in this aspect. After a few rounds, Tian Mujiao completely fell into his hands. Yi Qinghan pressed Tian Mujiao down on the bed. After a round of sex, he didn't expect that she was still a virgin. In the 14th district, who would dare to touch Tian Mujiao? She also had this intention. Others didn't have the guts. She was preparing to marry the young masters of the 14th district in the future. After Yi Qinghan seized her Yin origin, Tian Mujiao became even crazier. Meanwhile, Yi Qinghan's soul had become much stronger. It was as if he had real flesh and blood. Even if Tian Muxuan were to come in person, she might not be able to tell that he was a soul body. "Brother Yin Yang, stay here. I'll let father refine your body." Tian Mujiao's plump and tender body wrapped around Yi Qinghan. She wanted nothing more than to merge with Yi Qinghan's soul. At this moment, she lowered her posture to the lowest and wanted nothing more than to kneel down and serve him. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a faint smile. The depths of his smile was filled with evil, but Tian Mujiao couldn't notice it. Hell reincarnation? Yi Qinghan smiled evilly. "Jiao Air, it's boring here. How about I bring you to the human world to play? Moreover, my body is still in the small world of the 9 worlds. Without it, my strength will drop by 70%. Yi Qinghan not only wanted to save Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing, he also wanted to kidnap the princess of the 14th district. He wanted to use her as a hostage and easily return to the human world. Tian Mujiao was tricked by Yi Qinghan to the point that she couldn't resist at all. At this moment, even if Yi Qinghan wanted her to kneel down and be a slave, she wouldn't refute. Instead, she would be very excited. Therefore, she wouldn't reject Yi Qinghan's suggestion. "I'll listen to brother Yin Yang." Tian Mujiao lay naked on Yi Qinghan's body like a lamb. No matter how one looked at it, she didn't look like an unruly, willful, and ruthless princess. Everything had its vanquisher. Yi Qinghan was a woman's killer. He was the nemesis of unruly princesses. "We'll set off this afternoon. There will be a lot of people at that time, but we'll have to split up. You take the carriage out of the city first. They will definitely stop you and search for you. You can mess up the city gates and I'll take the opportunity to leave the city. At that time, you can fly anywhere you want. The dream beasts definitely won't be able to hurt you." Yi Qinghan lifted Tian Mujiao's chin and flipped her over. The divine spear pierced straight into her heart, causing her to pant. She didn't have the slightest bit of resistance. She had to listen to everything Yi Qinghan said. She became his private little slave. Oh! Tian Mujiao hugged Yi Qinghan's neck and clamped her legs around his waist. She let Yi Qinghan do whatever he wanted. Half an hour later, Yi Qinghan put on the clothes of the heaven-suppressing guardian, and his aura became even more imposing. His strength had increased a little. Tian Mujiao was indeed a beauty from hell. In addition, she was a virgin, and there was a large amount of Yin origin energy in her body, which made his Yin origin energy even more abundant. The Yin energy of hell is indeed the strongest. Looks like I have to think of a way to take away some of it. Yi Qinghan's brows flashed as he muttered to himself. Tian Mujiao changed into a spacious battle robe. Her face was full of glory as if she was a completely different person. Brother Yin Yang, I've contacted Captain Xiao Zhu to meet us outside. Once we're in the human world, you can't abandon me. Tian Mujiao leaned on Yi Qinghan's broad shoulder like a pitiful little girl. Don't worry. Yi Qinghan patted Tian Mujiao's shoulder. He was in a good mood. Half of the hell mission had been completed. As for whether they were going to the Sinner's Land or not, it didn't matter anymore. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.